Welcome to episode 38 of TerrorVision Horror Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dan McGuinness, and joining me on the Midnight Meat Train is my co-host, Jennifer the Dream Warrior Strand. Every week we take a horror movie and we cut it to pieces with our internet words. Together we are two people with a love of horror and feel the burn of our obsolete Blockbuster / Movieland memberships.
/ Focus Video.
/ all those
Video Easy.
/ your local growing up video shop.
Yep.
I'm going to move straight into my fun fact for this week about
Great.
myself. So I used to work as a wedding video editor. I didn't go film the weddings. I would just like get them on a hard drive and I would edit them together into these like film clips. I would get given music, like cheesy as hell music, and then had to edit them all together into these little like great film clips. And I worked for this guy, and he worked for the church or something. And I was like, when I joined up, I was like, "Are you religious?" And he's like, No. Oh, I mean, I am religious, but like, yeah, I don't believe in all that stuff. And that was a total lie. Because about like a bunch of weeks in, he just like suddenly, I asked him a question. I can't remember what the question was. And then he just, for an hour, just spewed a religious Bible story at me, trying to convert me to, and it was like the one where like Jesus's mum does something, like, you know, Jesus's mum was the good guy, and he was just, so at first he made out that he wasn't, you know, he was down with the kids and, you know, religion is uncool.
Down with the kids.
And then, pretty much after that I quit. But I was getting like great. It was like $700 a day to work there.
Oh, fuck. That's great. So you've got some form of video editing technique and like you've gone to film school and whatnot?
Yeah. I went to film school for like a couple of years and stuff like that. And I worked for the South Australian Film Corporation for a little while and so on and so on, which is another fact for another day.
Yes, I love it.
But,
It's very interesting.
yeah, that's just a little fact about me. You know, a bit of a tidwittle.
A little bit of a tidwittle. That's great.
What about you, Jen?
Well, look, I thought I would divulge my very first job, like real job. We're not talking I lasted 2 shifts at a chicken shop because the manager's wife was a cunt.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Or babysitting?
No, I never did babysitting. No. My first job was at Blockbuster.
Ooh, the video emporium.
Yes. So I think when I was maybe 14, 15, I walked in there with my resume and I'm like, please hire me. I got an interview and basically I sat through my interview process and they're like, okay, do you have any questions? And I basically sat there and said, well, you know.
What free shit do I get?
When you inevitably call me to tell me that I have the job, that's great. But if I don't get the job, I'm going to need you to tell me why, because I'm perfect for this role. So this was like when Jen had confidence and was like, you know, I was so deep into movies then at that point. Life hadn't crushed me yet, I feel. So
Do you feel, though, that the people that are fully into the place that they were, as in the thing, is also a bad thing?
Well, I
like,
mean,
at your job, you wouldn't hire a full-on person that was like, yeah.
Not
and neither
even
would I, a full-on comic person, because they would just be like gatekeeping and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went in with my, you know, my confidence, and you learn very quickly that you're not just sitting around watching movies all day. I mean, that was some of the job, but no, you learn that there is a lot to do, and I ended up leaving because of many different things, and then went on to work at a cinema.
A cinema. So was this in the video days or the DVD days, Blockbuster?
We were in the process of phasing out VHS and with DVD. So
the golden time to pick up the bargains.
Yes, and had I have known then what I knew now, I probably would have.
When you're in Blockbuster, because they had those covers that you just picked up with the video in it. You didn't take the cover of the video home, did you?
No.
So it's not like the old days where you actually got the video home, you got to look at it and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, you got to stand there and like embrace the VHS cover on the shelf.
No, it wasn't even that, was it? It was like the picture of it behind it.
Yeah, that was the indication that you weren't getting that film tonight. If you walked out and all you could see was the video cover, you were going home disappointed.
Aww. All right, let's move straight into our spoiler cast. Yes, every week Jennifer and I set ourselves a horror movie to watch, and then we go through it scene by scene and spoil the fuck out of it. It's a deep dive into glorious gore, hard edits, cheesy acting, directing madness, severed wangs, and compound fractures. Welcome to the spoiler cast. I've got a lower voice today because I went out to a video game nightclub night thing last night called Joypad, and it was very loud, so I had to talk a lot. So you may hear my voice deteriorate throughout the entirety of the show.
I was going to say, you've got like a sexy man voice on today.
Well, thank you.
So you would have either been out doing a thing, or you would have been like smoking a pack of cigarettes this week.
I'm listening. I'm very Kelsey Grammer today.
Yes, you are.
Anyhow, we have a rating system.
Yes.
Tell us about our rating system, Jen.
Well, Dan. So, for those of you playing at home, our rating system. We've got A, awesome, everybody should watch. B is our beer and chicken wing group movie. F is for fun and dumb. C is a classic that's worth a watch. We've got the U, underrated. G, good for its time, but is not held up. We've got the J, Jen special. The D, Dan special. We've got a W, whatever, so off my radar. We've got the Kesha, which is a low-budget hot mess. And the McConaughey.
Is that your low voice? That's pathetic.
That's not my low voice. Wait, let me have some more cigarettes and I'll come back to you.
No, that's a Catwoman voice.
And the McConaughey is the fucking fucked. It's the worst of the worst.
It's like...
the cream of the crap.
The cream of the crab?
The crap.
Oh. And this week we watched Hellraiser 2 Hellbound from 1988. Mm-hmm. I'd held off on this one for a while. We've been holding off on a lot of our bangers, but we're going to get into them now. We wanted to keep some of the jewels.
Well, you don't want to run through all the top things straight away. You've kind of got to ease into it.
Yeah, you don't want to blow your load
no.
before she's even come in the room.
Not
she's
even
still in the shower and you've just left with a thank you letter on the bed.
Mm.
Anyhow.
It's stuck to the bed too, by the sounds of it.
It's written in spoof. Spoof? Sperm.
Man, that I haven't
Sprog.
heard.
Moving on.
Anyway.
Who directed this madness?
So Tony Randall directed this madness. Screenplay by Peter Atkins. Peter Atkins is well-versed for doing the Wishmaster franchise and most of the Hellraiser franchise.
Yeah, that's not a thing you put on your resume.
No, that's not really something like, hey, baby, I wrote Wishmaster 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, you've never heard of them?
Yeah,
let me show you well, don't come to my bedroom and see that giant Wishmaster costume that I've got on display. That's supposed to be the thing that makes you want to sleep with me.
Yeah, well, okay. It also stars Doug Bradley, as we all know is our Lord and Saviour Pinhead, and Ashley Lawrence. Budget for this film.
What do you mean? Oh, what's the budget?
The budget. $6 million.
Nice.
Yep. It's a nice, mediocre budget, I think. Box office was $12.1 million.
That's a success. So double your money.
Yeah, that's a success. Made its cash and then some. So why not?
That's awesome. Ooh.
So we've got some fun facts before we jump on in.
What are some of them?
Well, this film was banned in Queensland,
Australia,
because we are Australia.
We're in Adelaide, Australia,
yes.
Which is, for those of you who don't live in Australia, it's just in a different spot.
Yeah, it's just round back. It's fine. So it was banned in Queensland in 1989. However, since the ban's been lifted, the film has been released on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray in the state. I'm finding that a lot of the films banned are all in Queensland. So we've had a couple of films that we've watched previously which were also banned.
I think Queensland people don't watch films. It's too sunny up there. It's too nicer weather, and they just ban them.
It's not. It's crotch weather up there. It's disgusting. You're just like consistently walking around with swamp ass all day.
What else has it got? What are some other like tiddlywinks?
So this film, along with Titanic, hold the record for the most times two characters have repeated each other's names.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So
there's a lot of names. Like you could pretty much make a drinking game out of this. So once I read this and then I started the film, I was just like, oh, I'd be so drunk right now. So mostly like Tiffany, Kirsty,
At least you know their names.
Yeah.
I really remembered these characters' names as well.
Well, you have trouble remembering names.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And then should we just move on?
Yeah. Well, finally, the film is included on Roger Ebert's most hated list.
Who cares about him?
It's basically like a full list of everything he hates because he fucking hates everything.
I feel this film got banned before anyone saw it because it's called Hellraiser. It's got some pretty... its posters were always like so cold and blue and had like weird symbols on them that I think religious people would have just gone, it clearly has to be banned.
Yes.
We don't even know what it... Like Dogma with Kevin Smith.
We're angry.
Yeah, we're angry. It's clearly like devil worshipping But this was like a whole new thing. Mm-hmm. This was Clive Barker's world. This was like... This wasn't demons, little men dressed in red outfits or anything. This was a whole new idea of what hell could be.
Oh, yeah. And it's not even hell. It's like a dimensional level of hell.
Yeah, it's more elder gods that have like... I mean, Lucifer and stuff is still in the equation, but it's more like elder gods where they reside doing things. Like, it's not per se like, you know, God's like this wispy man in a cloud or anything like that. It's just like, you're right, it's dimensional.
Yeah.
Like, parallel dimensions and pulling into parallel dimensions and stuff like that, which is and that's what hell is in this thing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, before we start, I'd also like to point out that Dan is deep. Dan is deep into the Hellraiser.
I'm not
Clive
super
Barker
deep.
thing. You're pretty deep.
I'm not. I haven't read every bit of text. I haven't read any of all the novels. I'm not that. I've read a bunch of the comics. But I've actually think I'm getting more deeper into it after watching this and going through it. I might turn into like, you know, go the deepest I can go. Balls to the hilt into this thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as like I kind of went into this thinking, oh fuck, I really should have rewatched the first one because I haven't watched the first one in a very long time.
Did you feel like you liked the lore and you could get all over it?
I love lore though. Like I love anything that has just... Can I go down a rabbit hole? I'm going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I know. Like, and this thing here, like, is basically geometric shapes can have siblings. Not siblings. They can have kids and stuff, which are humans. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, I love it. Anyhow,
it's fine.
What's the snoppo?
All right.
And the tagline,
guys. Time to play. That's
the
tagline. I think they could have done better, but hey, that's fine.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
Dr. Channard is sent a new patient, a girl warning of the terrible creatures that have destroyed her family, Cenobites who offer the most intense sensations of pleasure and pain. Actually, you should have read that with your sexy voice.
Pleasure and pain.
There you go. But Channard has been searching for the doorway to hell for years, and Kirsty must follow him to save her father and witness the power struggles among the newly damned.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole... Like, she didn't go there, like... How she wouldn't have said, "Oh, their pleasure and pain." You know what I mean? Like she just went, "Monsters attacked my house."
Yeah, something came. They took my dad.
She did know a fair lot about it, though. I feel like she knew too much in this film.
Okay.
Like from the film, like she kind of like doesn't matter.
I would like before we start though. I would just like to express that I feel that no one over the age of 6 should ever call their dad daddy. That's all I'm going to say on that matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I call my dad Dad.
That's fine.
That's fine.
But I'd be really upset. Not upset, but I don't like it when people who are, you know, clearly in their 20s, 30s call their parents mummy and daddy. All
right, let's get into it. So the opening. It opens with just a black screen and it's just a voiceover that goes, "What's your pleasure?" Which is a callback. There's a lot of callbacks from the first film in this. I don't know, as someone who, if you haven't watched the first film, if you watch this one, whether you know, there are a lot of flashbacks to the film. They basically go over the first film twice in this film. So I'm wondering, like, if you need it, I don't know.
I honestly, I wish I'd have gone back and watched the first film, but I really, after the first 2 minutes, I didn't need to.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
And then there's a title card, black screen, white writing, Hellraiser with the traditional Hellraiser music, like, which I'm playing right now.
Epic soundtrack.
Yeah, epic. It's so good. It's like, you bought me the soundtrack on the vinyl.
The vinyl.
Yeah, it's like pure... It's got its own vibe. It's like, it's not like riffing off of anything else, but it's got this gothic, heavy, big sound to it. It's very, very cool. And then, like, the opening shot of the film is just shocking. It just comes in hard hit with the last shot of the last film, of the most gory part of, like, this guy's face.
Yeah.
All chained up and he's there for so long, he's saying nothing, and he's just like, and then he just licks his lips and goes, Jesus wept. And then he gets pulled apart. And it's just like, whoa.
Yep.
And basically, this is the first montage of the first film. So we get like a flashback of, all the events of the first film.
Yep.
We're not going to get into that.
No.
Like, you just have to.
That's a film for another day.
That is. But then there's a second title card, actually, which was before this bit, which comes up with... So it's weird because it says Hellraiser in the first title card, then shows you the first film. I think that is implying this is the first film, Hellraiser. Because then after that montage, it comes up with another title card that it says Hellbound, Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
And I'm like, weird? Cool? Mm-hmm. It was just weird. You know what I mean? It was just like, weird choice. It's just like, yeah.
Interesting choice. Well, they were basically playing you a mini movie for the first 3 to 5 minutes of the film. So, and then it jumps into this title card and into the...
But the first Hellraiser book isn't called Hellraiser, it's called Hellbound.
Yes.
So let's get real confused. Hellbound, even if it was Hellbound, the whole series, it still would have worked. It's a good name.
Yeah.
Nothing's called Hellbound. Or
no.
It might be. Yeah. Anyhow. Then we open... No, so that's our credit sequence over.
Yeah.
It's hard. Then what happens?
Okay. So it opens to a radio. Just like a very old radio playing...
A real old radio as well.
Yeah. It's we're talking like the 1930s, I'd say. So basically World War II, World War I maybe.
I reckon, yeah.
Yeah. Pans over a cot, more like a cot than a bed, over military fatigues. So pants, shirt, belt, kind of hat.
Setting the scene that we're somewhere.
We are somewhere where
someone's not wearing enough clothes.
Exactly. Then we get this really beautiful shot. I thought the cinematography was great for this. It was this beautiful shot of a very large empty room, but it kind of was like oval in a way. It's a traditional war like a
shed that they were like arched kind of thing. It's one of those arching war sheds, but it's shot in a way that's very, very unique and cool. It almost looks like a tomb.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they were going for. Yeah,
and you just get this shot of a man in the very distance, and he's just sitting cross-legged on the floor, and he's clearly got something in his hands. So it zooms in, and we start to get this idea that there's a man, he's sitting there, and he's playing with the puzzle box, so the lament configuration.
For those who don't know what the puzzle box is, it is a golden box with ornate... It's a black box with golden ornate crap all over it, and it's basically... it's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And if you solve it, it basically pulls you... it brings these Cenobites from this other dimension to pull you into, air quotes, hell. Mm-hmm. But you never really known why until this point.
Yep.
That's just what happened in the first film. It's just like, okay, that's what happens.
But don't argue with it.
And it kind of, it makes you solve it as well. Because there's no actual parts on it. It's just
a lot of touching and a lot of fondling.
I actually know what you have to do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, so you have to move your fingers around one of the sides, and then it pulls itself up, and you push that forward.
Yeah.
And then that goes back down, and then you press the round thing on the other side, and it kind of lifts. It comes apart, you twist it and push it back into itself, and then you go to hell. Or in the other film, it just doesn't. You don't have to do any of that. It just they really lose their lore after a while. Anyhow, but it makes you do it. Your desires push you to solve the puzzle. Yeah, it's you that wants to do it.
Okay. Well, he's sitting there, and it basically he's touching it, and it zaps him, and he kind of just chucks it a little bit.
It's on the ground.
It's on the ground. It starts to open just a little bit. So we get just the tip, just a little bit on the top. It opens up. He goes into investigate.
We get that kind of. They use a lot of that kind of. What are those jewelry boxes that open up music? That ding, that kind of thing. So
yes.
The spinning.
The little ballerina.
Ballerina, but they use a lot of that in Hellraiser. So that music starts.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, so he's goes and kind of looks into it, and these chains just come out.
Yeah.
And they start ripping into him.
When we say chains come out, it's really... If you don't know what we're talking about, it's really weird. Basically, they come out of the box. So chains with hooks on the end, and they shoot out and hook into you and then pull you around. So they're like Pinhead's main weapon.
Yes.
Who is the Hell Priest that we're talking about.
Yep. And we get this montage of him in another world now.
Yeah, it basically goes, he's been pulled into this world.
Yeah. We don't get a real good look at it, but we see how he becomes Pinhead.
Yeah.
So, the guy sitting there, we get this glimpse of this man sitting there, and he's pulled into hell. He is pre-Pinhead. So, he is about to become Pinhead.
So, what we're seeing is the creation of Pinhead. And up until this point, we didn't know they were humans originally. But I really like the scene.
Yep.
Like, the quick shots, and they're, like, kind of fading together and stuff with this weird, like... It's like people yelling and screaming. But there's, like... weird things that are hitting the nails into his head.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really cool. Like,
it did,
and like
look
cutting up his face into the bits and stuff. And
you sort of watch his skin become this blue.
Yeah,
more so, and his teeth become.
And there's like one
rotten.
big nail down his middle of his head, which I didn't know was in there until I saw this. Later on, we find it. We work out that that's the thing called the creation maker or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But yeah.
Is it the engineer? It's not the engineer.
No, engineer's a bit different dude.
That's different. Yeah. Okay.
Anyhow.
Yeah. So once we get that scene, we cut to a hospital.
You'll kind of see him at the end. He's like,
yeah.
And he kind of like fades. He gets smaller and smaller and smaller, just saying, this was a while ago.
It's the way.
Yeah.
It's the way to be.
Close up. Hard cut to a hard close up of an eyeball.
So we get to the next scene. Kirsty, she wakes up in a hospital bed. She's like, where am I? So this is very clearly a lead on from the very first film. It's just moving to the next phase.
It's set hours after the first film.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, she wakes up, and this is like I think it's this film. What year was this made? It was like
88.
88, yeah. So this
it's
is
literally the year after the first film and 2 years after the book.
Yeah, and we've got so this is an old school hospital.
Yeah.
This is the Gerard Institute Mental Hospital, basically.
Yes.
But, this is the kind of place that is not allowed anymore.
No, not even a little bit. This is where they would have taken their tuberculosis patients back in the day and treated them very poorly.
Yeah, so she's woken up here. There's a cop in the room. He's just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
She's like freaking out and stuff. He says like, "Oh, we sent your boyfriend home." You know,
he left hours ago.
Which is the guy who never turns up in this film ever again.
Yeah.
He would be. The fact that I think he's been fucked with the Cenobites. He's seen them. They would be fucking with him.
Yeah.
Now, poor guy. He's out of the picture though.
So then it cuts from there to he's basically like, the cop has stated that there is a team at her father's house now going through everything. Cuts to beat cop investigating the house. We're hearing, so it's this like, very handlebar moustache kind of beat cop in his uniform, and he's looking around. And as he's looking around, we just hear this like weird scuttling and squeaking kind of sound, and it's kind of intense and really cool, and really you're like, I don't want to know what that sound is, but he uncovers something.
It's a basket.
Yeah, it's just like pretty much
a
a basket.
wicker basket.
It's a very large basket.
Cane corner basket.
And we discover that there's a corpse in there, and maggots are just fucking devouring.
This is one thing about this film. Corpses in the Hellraiser films are gross. Because they always have fly noises.
Yeah.
There's always maggots all over them. When other films, you don't get that. You just get a corpse that's all cut up. But these are like always decomposing and gross. And it feels like you can always smell like the corpses in Hellraiser films. Or these first two anyway. The other ones, who knows what they do. Yeah, so there's maggoty corpse. And you're just like... It just makes it feel real visceral and real, like it was a real, like there's actual meat rotting there from a person. Yeah.
Gross, and I love it. So he's like seen that, okay, and as he kind of steps back, he knocks the closet door. The closet door opens, and of course, another corpse falls out.
Like a real old corpse.
Yeah, falls on top of him, and he freaks the fuck out and just unloads a bunch around
into the corpse.
into the corpse, and he's just like, fuck.
It's just basically a scene to show that this house is very fucked up. There's corpses everywhere, because in the first film there was a lot of corpses that went there. Yeah. You have to. The first film is about bringing someone back from this other dimension, and you bring them back by where they died or got pulled into the hell zone, if you pour a whole lot of blood there, they can come back through the blood of people.
Yeah.
And because Frank... No, we can't even get into that, can we? Not yet. This is going to be a long one.
This is...
Wait, let's just shoot through this. Let's try to get through. I'm not helping.
You know so much, though.
Yep. So the cop falls on him, he shoots him.
Yep.
We cut back to... Yeah, that's the bait. It's just to show that the cops are at their house and still investigating it. We cut back to Kirsty and the cop in the room. Do you know what I like about this? This was the first film I ever saw that where the person who survived the first film, maybe it wasn't worth it. Like, the repercussions that sometimes you don't want to survive the things that you go through in a horror film. I always think that now from this film. I'm always like, do you even want to survive this?
Yeah.
So it's like the Texas Chainsaw films. Do you really want to survive those situations? Or will it be easier just to die?
Yeah. Well, I feel like the one thing that I've not ever seen, and I'm getting off track again, is you never see, like, a follow-up film to the trauma. And, like, I would love to see a follow-up film to, like, and not just, like, a sequel where they're
even a horror. It's just the trauma of the person.
And I would love to see something like that. It's like, oh, what, you know, it's like a self-help group and they're all there because they've experienced some level of trauma from, like, an event, like a Freddy or a Jason or a Pinhead or whatever.
Or it's a group where they've all experienced one of those different ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a great idea.
That's a good idea. Write that down.
Yep. I'll make it happen.
Yeah, but anyway, I just like the idea that, she's in a mental asylum because of how fucked it all went wayward for her.
Yep.
Right, she won, but did she?
Doubtful.
Or her dad's dead and her boyfriend left.
Yep.
Clearly
out. So then the cop gets notification from the second beat cop on the scene. He's like, look, there's nothing here, just a bunch of corpses. Some of them have been accidentally damaged. And he starts talking about the mattress. He's like, but there is also a bloody mattress.
It has chains and blood. And
he's like,
looks like someone got real messed up on here.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we've got to take it in for evidence. So as we get to that...
And then Kirsty's like, the mattress.
Yes.
Do I think we get a flashback to show Julia on it for like 1 second?
I think so. Just a brief flash.
So the mattress is somewhere, a spot where one of the bad guys in the first film, a lady died on it. She got sacrificed. She was a baddie, but got ripped off by the other baddie and sacrificed to the Cenobites, which never really made sense. But
yeah.
But he's still trying to the cop's still trying to get out of her what happened. And no more, no more stories of fairy tales and monsters. And she's like, there's some heaps good lines in it. Sometimes the fairy tales come true, even the bad ones.
Yes, the writing in this is very good.
Yeah, it's great for how old it is. There's not enough... I was really surprised when I looked into this. Clive Barker had hardly anything to do with this one.
No.
They just took his lore.
He still had some level of involvement, but I think this is the last one where he kind of had that. At least hey, Clive, we just really want to do a thing. Can you give us a little bit of him? Just yeah, just do this. Okay, thanks, bye. Yeah.
Then we have a hard cut. End of scene. When we're hard cut to Dr. I call him Chenard. How do you say it? Chenard. Dr. Chenard. I just call him Chenard.
Yeah.
Doing open brain surgery to where the brain surgery where the person has to be conscious, that weird brain surgery.
Yep.
Monologuing to a bunch of medical students whilst conducting this open head brain surgery.
Yep.
And he's straight away, there's something fucking dodgy about it.
Yeah, he's got this very British accent, but it's the kind of accent that makes you want to punch him in the face.
And he's saying things like, we have to see, we have to know. We are we are the persons in the labyrinth, and all this, all this mystical monologue over this bullshit to his students.
It's the monologue that you sit there and go, "Huh, he's the bad guy."
Yeah, okay. He's not really a bad guy. He's just the guy that where knowledge is bad. He'll do anything to regain his knowledge and stuff like. Well, then we're introduced to Kyle, which is one of his his protege.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Young Kyle looks like the guy from Mad About You.
He looks like he's had real bad plastic surgery.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
He's all right. He's a young-ish guy.
Yeah.
He's probably the closest age that we've got to Kirsty.
Yes. Yes, he is. Yeah. So they've been notified that there is a patient here that he must go see. So he basically slightly drills into this person's head and be like, and I'm done. and walks off. Takes Kyle off to meet Kirsty. At this point, Kirsty's having a massive tantrum in her room.
Yeah,
she wants to leave. No one's believing her. She's talking about the puzzle box. She's talking about the Cenobite. She's throwing things. She's smashing vases and glasses.
She's no one believes her story.
No,
Why would you?
No, well, yeah, no, I wouldn't believe her.
But she's also banging on when Sinead and Kyle come in. She's like, "You have got to destroy the mattress.
Yep.
Julia died on that, and she can come back."
Yeah.
And this, the cop kind of leaves, but Sinead kind of hears mattress. You say
blood? You say
making mattresses. The cops is like, I don't know what's going on. You're the doctor. This is the end of my scene. Exit. He never comes back in.
So I'm collecting my paycheck and bye.
Goodbye. Cop leaves.
Yep.
We're left with Dr. Sinead. Like I said, he seems interested in this mattress idea, and he instantly just doesn't even examine it. He just goes like, I have to go feed a dog or some shit. And he just leaves the room and bails out.
So he's off to do some shady shit. We get this very brief snip of him walking up to the detective who's just outside the door. And, they're going to do some wheelings and dealings.
He basically goes out to the cop and asks him a favour, I need you to do something for me. He's very Frasier-esque in how he talks. It's so pompous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, he's doing something. We're back into the room with Kirsty and Kyle.
Yeah. I don't even remember what the conversation they were having was. And he's kind of like, look, you just got to get some sleep. We'll talk about it all tomorrow. Let me go get you something to help you sleep.
Yeah. And that's the end of the scene. Then we're cut to a hard cut. All right, so we assume now it's kind of nighttime. We cut to
storms rolling in.
It's nighttime, and we've got this close up of some hands. I just think this shot was really cool. Mm-hmm. Of hands, where we've got the point of view of the person doing this wooden puzzle box, not like the Hell box, just like one of those ones that's like a Tetris blocks that you clip together into a square. And and then we see Kirsty also kind of wake up and go, wow, that sounds like someone solving a puzzle. Get another room. There's no reason why she wakes up. That sounds like a silent thing. I should follow.
Interesting. Yep.
She gets up.
She leaves her room, and literally in the room next door to her, there is a young girl, and she's in there, and she's putting together this
blonde
puzzle.
girl, very Scandinavian looking.
She had a fucking jawline, I must say. She was like a good looking girl, but man, she had a cut jawline. She
had a chomper.
It was chiseled.
Yeah, I had a massive crush on her when I was younger. I actually went out with a Polish girl who looked like her.
You sort her out?
Yeah. So she's there looking in the bedroom, and Kyle comes up behind. Have you noticed there's heaps of overacting between these two characters? Kyle comes up behind her, puts his hand on her shoulder, and she goes, and he goes, "Oh, gee, sorry." Yeah. There's also another really good one with Kyle. Yeah, and then he explains, and we don't know who she is.
Yeah.
She doesn't talk. One of the nurses named her Tiffany. She's a total mystery. And then he's like, why the puzzle? He goes, Dr. Sinead thinks it's good for her. And I'm like, hang on, Dr. Sinead wants this girl to continually solve puzzles?
Yeah,
interesting.
Huh.
And he's also interested in the mattress.
Yes.
Interesting. Anyhow, Kirsty's satisfied with that and just goes straight back to bed.
Yeah, she's like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, because he tries to give her some pills, and he's like, "Oh, this will help you sleep," and she's like, "I'm not crazy."
He goes, just to help you sleep.
I'm
so they're trying to
job.
imply here that Kyle is generally a nice guy who is interested in her well-being.
Yes.
Kirsty, she kind of flirts with him a bit as well. She's like, "I'm not crazy, Kyle."
Yeah.
And he's like,
a cat.
Whatever.
Yep.
Anyway,
so she's still trying to sleep. She's kind of wrestling around in her bed, and then the radiator just starts to steam.
And we get this doom sound, which is a very familiar sound that there's something hell. The dimensions are becoming thinner. The gap between them,
Yep.
Which I think this vibe of how they do this is a very unique thing. I think it's really cool. And we see the radiators. She starts kind of freaking out, realizing you're on her bed. And then we see a close-up of this bloody finger writing something on the wall
Yep.
with its own blood because the finger has no skin on it.
Yep.
And then we see this skinned dude
Yep.
in the corner of her room just sitting. These skinned people in these films look amazing.
They do. They really do.
So there's this skinned body, like all its skin's been removed. It's bloody, it's shiny, and it's writing on the wall a message which says in big capital letters, "I'm in hell, help me." There is no comma after hell, which is like, "I'm in, help me, hell, help me."
He's got no time for being grammatically correct.
It is true. You are trying to get a message out of hell. So then the skinny guys, like, the sounds get louder and louder and louder, and she like closes her eyes and opens them. The guy's gone.
Yep.
But left is this bloody message on the wall. Anyhow.
Was she like also? It's such a strange after scene where she's like touching the blood on the wall and just starts rubbing it on her lips.
Yeah. So I never got this. So she goes up to the blood on the wall, like the message, touches it with the finger, and then rubs it all over her lips, implying what it's supposed to imply is in that corpse, like that was a message from her dad from hell.
Yeah.
And so she's bonding with it by
Yep.
by tasting her father's blood.
Sure,
why not?
Yep.
Who knows what they do behind closed doors?
It's none of our business.
Yeah, I was still a little bit of if you don't know, you're just like, what?
Yeah. No, it's strange.
Cut to the next day.
Yes. Dr. Channard, he's walking the grounds of the hospital as he's sort of walking back into work, and he's saying hello to all the patients.
We can see they're just crazies.
So that, it's basically that I didn't even refer to them throughout as patients. I've pretty much just referred to them as inmates because that's what they are.
Yeah.
It's just basically like this giant room, and there's just bed after bed after bed, and they're all just sort of in their own like.
And he's just saying, he's like doing the rounds, as they call it. And then we get like a little comedy bit with one of the patients goes, 105 years and he still doesn't remember my name. But clearly implying these are, inmates.
Yeah, they're not, So he just walks straight to an elevator and presses, and he goes down to the basement.
He doesn't just go down to the basement. He goes down to ground floor, to basement, to sub-basement, to maintenance. And so the maintenance door opens and all you hear, it's like, steamy and like a maintenance, like almost like the boiler room from Freddy.
It is dingy. It's kind of like steamy and wet, and just it's probably very moist down there, but also very hot.
And
it's
there's
just
screams.
Yeah, nothing but people screaming, and I think that they're probably the most disturbed of the patients.
Yeah, from what I think this is, because they're in there's a whole bunch of people locked in like old school padded rooms. So this is clearly an old building that would have had this wing at some stage, which has been outlawed now. But he has found this area and used it for his own meaning. So he is keeping these patients down here to, to experiment on, I can only assume. But it's clearly illegal what he's doing. And we get to see some of the patients. We get to see Crucifix guy. Mm-hmm. So he's a guy, it's just snuffing around. He's got a crucifix. He's snuffing around the room, We get the yelling man. Mm-hmm. So he opens up, there's a little window on each door, and he opens up and there's a guy yelling straight in your face, and that's all he does. And then we get the get them off me man.
Yeah.
He's a guy in a straight jacket, and he's like all disheveled, and he's like, get them off me. Get them off me. Like he's clearly can see that there's something all over him, and he looks at him and he's like,
that's the guy.
Yeah.
I like that guy. I'd like to get something off him.
Yeah. What could he use these people for? Who knows?
Interesting.
So then we cut back to Kirsty in her room.
Yep.
She's just looking at the corner of the room where, staring where the event of the note from her dad happened. Kyle comes in. It's like, hey.
I feel that he was a little bit of a creeper as well. Because he kind of just sort of like creeps on in and he's just there.
Yeah, he is a bit of a creeper. He has high stealth, as we see later on in the film.
Yes, he does.
He has +5 to his stealth.
Yep.
And then she starts monologuing some shit, but basically says
it's like, my dad's come to visit me. He's still dead and alone and suffering.
Yeah, my father is dead and alone and is still suffering.
Yeah.
She has another cool line there. Like, I'll go get Dr. Jannard. Maybe he can help you. She looks around and goes, has he got a ticket to hell?
Yeah, that was a great. I wrote that down as well. Like a fucking great line. Such a good line.
So at this point, I've written in my notes, I guess that skin guy was her dad. There's no... Because she starts mentioning her father here. Like, my dad is suffering in his health. So you're like, oh, okay, so that was her dad. And that's why she wants to drink his blood.
Yeah, so she's assumed that it's her dad because it's like this person who's laying on the ground. They look like they're in pain and they're writing a note for her. So that's just her assumption.
Kyle goes gets Dr. Chenard.
Overhears him organising the mattress to be delivered to his home. Not the hospital, but to his home.
Yes. I repeat that. My home. Yeah. Not the hospital.
Just to confirm.
So, Dr. Chenard, what do you want with the mattress?
He's a fucking shady motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, he's wicked. He's like my favourite. I've referenced him in other things. Whenever there's a dodgy doctor, it's Dr. Chenard.
Yeah.
So then we kind of, it must be cut later on. We have Dr. Chenard and Kyle and Kirsty kind of having a group session or whatever. Like he's finally decided to talk to her.
Yeah.
After he gets his mattress. And then we get relay the whole story of the first film again, the story of Frank and Julia.
Yeah.
Basically, let's just not go through.
No. So no. She just goes through the box, hell is what he wanted and hell is what he got, blah, 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 blah. Recap.
Yeah, Julia died on the mattress. She can come through that, blah, 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 blah. We see it all in flashbacks. Shows her dad getting, killed and, Frank steals her dad's skin and becomes his dad at one stage. And
And she ends
Frank
up...
coming up through the floor, all that kind of cool... Basically all the best bits of the first film.
Yeah. Pretty much. Kirsty ends the conversation with, am I crazy? And Dr. Chenard just goes, there is much we have to discuss. Cut to.
Then we cut to Dr. Chenard's house at night time.
Yes.
It's obviously the end of the day.
It's very rich, sort of very 80s minimalistic kind of white
It's modern brutalist.
House. Modern brutalist. I like that.
Yeah. He's got a very modern brutalist, like concrete white house. Which later is very on purposely juxtaposed to what happens, just to really nail the point in later on.
Yeah, no, it is a very rich person 80s house kind of thing, except for the one room where the mattress is. That room is full of oddities and like weird notes and occultist shit, and it's painted green, so it's got this. It's very different to what the rest of his house is.
Yeah, it looks like a crazy emporium thing. There's things
it's the
in
kind
jars,
of room that I would
like
fucking love to
fetuses
have.
in jars.
Yeah.
There's like books everywhere, rubbings of stuff. Like there's all ancient like God worshipping stuff. So it's like his study. I just called it his study kind of thing. But it is very different vibe to it's clearly where he spends most of his time.
Yeah.
Not the rest of the house.
It seems cozier than the rest of his house.
Research, study, whatever. Mm-hmm. Now he's sipping a scotch. He's looking at the mattress thinking, should I? It is a scary looking mattress after all.
It is. It's bloody. It's dirty.
Soiled.
It's probably, yep.
You can only assume Julia shit herself when all that happened.
Going to get that black light all over it. It's not
man,
you
don't want to do that.
No.
And now Chenard leaves.
Yes.
He's like, you know what?
I'm doing
Fuck it.
Doing it.
I leave.
It's happening.
At this point, Kyle.
He breaks in.
He
just walks through the door.
Yeah, the security in this house is the pits. He just has like 10 doors in this house, can constantly just open. Now, Kyle just walks straight into the study, into the research study, because there's double balcony doors that are like open behind a curtain. He just walks in. He's like, there's some unbelievably good overacting here for Kyle. Suddenly we see some more of the research, which is more centered on Cenobites.
Yeah.
We see rubbings of the box. We see, he's looking through things. We see a photo of Pinhead as a human.
Yep.
All this jargon to do with like the what's it called? I don't know if this is lost at the box's real name.
The lament configuration.
The lament configuration. So we're like, okay, Dr. Chenard knows what's going on.
Yeah, he's involved.
And then we get a shot of like, there's 3 glass domes and he has 3 of the actual puzzle boxes. Because there's more than one puzzle box. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And like, this is the bit where Kyle comes up and he's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. And then he looks at the puzzle boxes again and goes, Jesus. I'm like, yeah, good one, Kyle.
For me, it's
I love his overacting.
Look, I love an overacting next to this, like, it's fantastic. But I also feel like if you're walking into a room like that, so like, I mean, oddities and that kind of stuff, that fascinates me. But I wouldn't walk into a room and just start being like, oh, fuck. Look at the fuck.
Jesus Christ.
You'd just be enjoying.
Like, this is the same line twice as well in a row.
It's like, just reiterate that point there, Kyle. Yeah, got it. Good, let's move on.
Yeah, nah, he's great, Kyle. Anyhow, suddenly I think Dr. Channard comes home.
Yeah, so he's so we got between Kyle looking at this through all this stuff, we get this very quick glimpse of the basement, the screaming, the steaming pipes, and then Kyle talking and flipping through notes. Then it's Dr. Channard. He's leading an inmate into
He's leading the get them off me man.
Yep, he's leading them into the room. Kyle sort of hides.
He hides behind a curtain.
Yes.
This is why his stealth is so good. No one ever notices Kyle behind a curtain.
No, he's standing there behind the curtain, and then the Dr. Channard gets the inmate, sits him on the mattress, and
undoes his straitjacket.
Yep.
He's all cut up, and then we get a glimpse of what the inmate is seeing.
Yeah, so he's just got like he's been digging into his own skin as well. Like he's just
to get them off him.
Yeah. Whatever is on him, and we get this shot, and it's just him covered in maggots.
Yeah, he's got so he's and worms all in these wounds. So he thinks he's cut up, and there's all maggots crawling inside of him, which I think is an actual phobia, one of the bug ones. Yeah,
yeah.
So this guy thinks there's bugs all in him and over him. That's why he's like, get them off me.
Yeah, like I feel for that guy as well. Like there is a moment where you're just like,
and you know that Channard's been keeping him. He hasn't been trying to help him. He's just been keeping him for this moment. Dr. Channard gives him a cutthroat razor, and you can to get them off me guy, and you can see the look of happiness in get them off me guy's face. He's just like, oh my god, I can finally get them off me, and he just starts cutting into his skin.
Yeah,
and we get some quick shots of like what he's seeing as him cutting through the maggots and all this stuff in his skin, and this shot looked pretty good. I thought it
did, and then of course, so
the film is graphic. No wonder it got banned. Like, this is actually worthy of being banned. This is a guy self-mutilating himself.
Yeah.
Totally, like, with a cutthroat. You see all the cuts, like, bloodlines. And
they go to the effort of, like, those close-up shots where you see the skin split as he's cutting through. And, like, I think that's one thing that anyone who watches any kind of horror movie notices. Like, you're less inclined to squirm over someone being chainsawed through the face, but you'll squirm if you watch someone, like, slit something open.
Like a paper cut. Super paper cut.
Whoa.
Well, I actually saw some scenes in this version that I hadn't seen, because my version was the TV VHS version that I used to watch of this. So there were some scenes cut out. Not many, but like some of them. There's some weird ones. And also some modified ones where in the version I had, they darkened shots so you couldn't see some things.
Yes.
They used to do that back in the day.
Which the director stated he did on purpose because he wanted to sort of express how he was feeling with the world at that time. So he purposely made it darker. Because sure.
Yeah, why not?
So as he's
cut himself up.
He's covered in blood now, which means the mattress is now covered in blood. And of course, what's going to happen? What did Kirsty warn us against? Don't, this mattress is a portal. Someone can come back. Don't do it. What happens? We get these bloodied hands and feet come through the mattress.
They burst up.
Yep. It was fantastic as well. Like bursts up and it's like, just
because the guy's laying on the mattress cutting himself now, so they burst up from behind him and grab him from behind,
Yeah, they basically, legs around you, the arms, pretty much, and he's rolling around. So as he's rolling around, he's basically just pulling this person.
Yeah, he rolls off the mattress and pulls her up out of this mattress, which is wicked. There's so much blood in this scene.
Yes, there is, and it's pretty.
Oh man, and there's so much grossness.
I love it.
So the skin, and this person that he's pulled out is skinless.
Yeah.
So the skinless. So when that's one of the rules of hell, is that when you come back through this portal, you can't bring your skin. You just don't have skin ever.
Sure.
You can't. You actually have to rebuild yourself. So she's this blood has been enough, because in the first film, Frank comes back from like drops of blood, and he slowly regenerates like bits of his body and brain, kind of like Dr. Manhattan. He comes back like as first as like an what do they call this? a brain stem and all stuff like that. Where this one, she has a mass amount of blood in one go, so she can at least get most of her body through out of hell in one go.
Yep. Yes. So the inmate just rolls off the bed and immediately starts like clawing his way across the ground.
Suddenly he wants to live.
He's clearly everything's off of him and he's on his way. He's fucking off. He's not happy. He's like, but he's also probably weakened from all the blood that he's lost.
It's true.
So she's chasing him down.
She's kind of weak as well. So they're both crawling around.
Like this really sad like army crawl along the ground, and he's screaming and she's screaming, and
Yeah, and like they're slippery and stuff, and they're like, he's like, finally gets on top of him, and she kind of just pushes her fingers into the back of his neck.
Yeah.
And it just kind of drains him, and it's this gross shot of, which wasn't in my original version, of like his face all blue with froth coming out of his mouth. At this whole time, the Get Me Out of Here guy's reaching up, trying to grab for something, which is the curtain, which Kyle was hiding behind.
Kyle's just like,
oh fuck,
I'm part of the world. I'm part of the world.
He's like, Jesus Christ. He's like shitting himself. He's seeing this whole thing.
Yeah.
And he, the first opportunity, he uses his stealth and he fucks off.
He's gone.
And
it's not even like if I just like duck down, it's like he has to pretty much just thunk. You'd see him. You would see him.
No, I
Dr.
felt that
Chenard
shit was going on, I reckon.
But he's so stealthy. So she's now just devoured this poor inmate's brain, and she's kind of laying on the ground. She's like a little bit tired because it's taken a lot out of her.
She's like, help me.
She just needs to get back to the mattress. And just this. And he's just standing there. Dr. Chenard, he's got blood all over his face,
and he's splattered on him. He's just like, he's kind of like in awe / panic / doesn't. He's just watching.
It's like it's like a fear boner right now. I have a fear boner.
Oh, yeah.
I can't look away. And then he just kind of kicks the mattress towards her so that she can get back on.
She gets in and writhes around in the blood like a fucking maggot in a corpse, like soaking up the blood and shit. And then she kind of goes, no! And I think that's her taking, her lungs are forming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then she gets up and we get this beautiful shot of her back. We can see the special effects artists have gone to fucking town. They must have the thinnest people in these costumes.
Oh, it looked good.
Well, do you know the guy that was the Get Me Out of Here guy? He is the guy who plays, because he was so thin. He is the guy who's inside a lot of the skinless people in the first film.
Okay, that's very interesting.
He's probably the guy who's in. No, he couldn't be because he's in that scene. It might not have been him. Do we see them together though? No, we might not actually.
I don't think we do.
He might have played both those roles.
Quite possibly.
Anyhow.
Just stick some boobies on him, he's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, there are weird skinless boobs on her. Mm-hmm. There's actually a vagina shot in this, did you notice as well?
I did not notice.
Well, I'll mention it when it comes up.
Great.
Anyhow, we see this back. We see her whole spine going down her, what are these bones called? Her
shoulder bones?
Her shoulder blades.
Yeah,
and stuff. And she's breathing and moving, and you see it all moving, and because there's no muscles on top of, it's just the skeleton with muscles intertwining. It looks wicked.
Mm.
It looks
yes,
so
it does.
good. Her face is you can see the skull coming through it and shit.
It's pretty. And so she sort of gets her shit together, and she stands up and she turns around and she looks at Dr. Chenard, and she's just like, well.
Yeah.
She says well. She does say well a lot.
Well.
Yeah.
And I know that's it. I think that's the end of the shot, isn't it?
That's the end of the shot. We get to...
Cut back to Tiffany.
It's another stormy night, and Tiffany is sitting there playing with yet another puzzle.
She has solved another puzzle, which is one of those square, cube, weird ones that you make a shape out, a pattern on. And then that was it.
That was it.
Just cut
straight back to...
Tiffany's still good at solving puzzles.
Look at her.
I'm surprised that didn't wake up Kirsty solving that puzzle.
She was so quiet.
Yeah. Then we cut back to Chenard's house straight away. And Julia is... So we see them walking, the shots walking through this brutalist, brutalist architecture house. Why? And we see a bloody handprint on the wall, juxtaposing the chaos. So much order is in this house, and it's juxtaposed with the chaos of this arrival of this person. That's what I got from it.
Yeah.
She's standing in front of a mirror. She has she's still gory and bloody, but she's kind of got some pants and a white shirt. I'm white as well? It's kind of
I said that. I'm why would you give her white jammies? Just give her, some black ones or something.
she's kind of looking in a mirror at herself, and then she has a bit of a fit and punches the mirror. All this is still looking very, very good. Dr. Chenard rocks up. He's got himself a scotch and a cigarette to calm himself down, and she walks up and just goes like, she takes no, it's a wine.
It's wine.
Grabs the wine, she sips and goes, oh, wine, because clearly she hasn't had wine in a while.
Yeah.
And then smokes his cigarette.
I liked this scene as well. It was just the image of her, this bloody, skinless face, beautiful white eyes, white teeth, and she's got a cigarette in hand. But she just kind of still looks really sinister without being
and very graceful kind of thing. It is a very weird scene. This is a horror film that's got scenes in it creating horror that's not like normal horror.
No.
This isn't she's a monster stalking people down or anything.
No,
it's all about manipulation and the scene and people's desires taking over their life so much it makes you feel uneasy. It's a weird... That's why I like this film. It's there's none other in the series. It's such a cool, weird thing. Then we cut to close-ups of him wrapping her in bandages.
Yeah.
Basically turning her into the Invisible Woman.
I said that, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yep, bandages her up like the Invisible Woman.
Yeah, and then she kind of she's like, what do you think? And
she says, well.
She's in a dress underneath, the dress on top of her bandages. And then they make out.
They do.
She kind of sluts onto him, and it's gross. And it's horror. It's in there because Clive Barker always puts in any scene of affection is always disgusting in his books and anything. The characters all suddenly decide to have sex while they're half dead and covered in blood and stuff like that. And this is a typical Barker. I don't know if he put this bit in on purpose. Also, because I always feel he's a gay man, he always shows the grossness of heterosexual relationships.
Yes, he does. I did notice that. I mean, yeah, it's so weird because they just start this weird making out, and then he just starts feeling her up.
Yeah, she actually grabs the bottom of her dress and pulls it up, and that's where we see her skinless vagina-y kind of thing in there.
I didn't even see that. I didn't even notice.
You blinked.
Look, me not paying attention to vagina.
You're missing out on the reverse wang.
And, so they have this moment together. It's gross. And she just turns and she's like, now all we need is skin.
Now all we need is skin.
And a convenient cut to Kirsty in the shower.
She gets out. Kyle's there, already in her room. And he's like, it's all true. Yeah. We got to get out of here. She had no skin. And then the best overreaction ever. Kirsty goes to her cupboard to open her clothes. Her clothes aren't in there. And she just looks at him and goes, shit. Yeah. And he's like, don't worry. I can get your clothes.
It's like, well, why were the clothes taken? Dr. Chenard is busy doing other stuff. He wouldn't have time to steal your clothes.
Yeah, I just thought it was another great overreaction. Yeah. So people in this movie, all they can do is say lines and then overact to situations.
Yes, that's it. And I'm okay with it.
So they devise a plan. They're like, he's like, I was there. They had puzzle boxes. This is, and she goes, they had puzzle boxes. Mm-hmm. I need to go get one of them so I can get into hell and get my dad back. Yeah. Which I'm like, how do you know that's going to work? I mean, in the first film, she defeated the Cenobites by solving the puzzle box again whilst they were there. So that's a thing you can do. Yeah. So it brings them there, but it can also take them away.
Yeah, well, I think they're very good with their bargaining. They, I'm going to take your soul. Wait, if I give you 30 souls, or if I solve this box, then we're square, right?
Well, she gets away with them in the first film because she's like, someone escaped you. My Uncle Frank got out of hell, and he's like, no one escapes us. She goes, well, there he is. Yeah, but they're like, oh, okay, we'll let you go. Yeah. But then she brings them back again, and they fucking hate her because she continually calls them and doesn't get taken away. They don't get their biscuits, their milk and cookies at the end when they deal with her. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is basically the scene is them devising a plan. I need to go get my dad,
break back into Chenard's place.
And so we're going, but he's like, I know how to get in. We're going.
It's just the door open all the time.
Yeah. Cut back to Chenard is still making out with the invisible skinless Julia. It's just so weird that
they're in the attic of the house, and we can see revealed that there's like 10 people chained up. So they've only got 10 people already.
Yeah. That's very...
I think time was supposed to have got passed in this time, like maybe a couple of days.
Maybe?
We don't know. We don't even know where these people came.
But anyway. I mean, he has a hospital, so he's just got a bunch of people, and it's not just a psychiatric hospital. Like, I'm sure that there is an aspect of it. So, like, because obviously it's not just inmates that are there.
Maybe it was a tour group.
Maybe. There's some beautiful women there. So, like, one of the women...
I think they were prostitutes, most of them. That's what they were implying, that they, like, hired prostitutes and then just killed them. And there's, like, 10 people hanging in their attic by chains. They're all cut up, missing bits of their body, missing bits of skin, missing limbs. They're bloody. There's flies everywhere. We get that vibe of, like...
heavy buzzing sound,
Heavy buzzing. It's gross. We know that, like, this is a stink room. Anyhow, yeah. And then we go... There's a girl hung up with her boobs hanging out, and we see Julia, like, go up to her and like, dig her claws into the back of it. And we see, like... Yeah. And then, is this where they reveal her face?
Yeah, so she sticks her very skinless hand into the back of the woman's neck, and as she pulls it out, she's got skin and perfectly manicured, painted nails.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yep. And then she... Shenard unravels the bandages, and Julia is sexy, perfect haired, evil fucking...
With makeup
face. And she just looks like a evil princess, and I kind of dug it. And then that was it. Kyle and Kirsty then sneak in. We get the next scene. Kyle and Kirsty sneak in to the oddities room.
The oddities room.
I like the oddities room. Kyle goes... It's so strange as well, because, like, they're in this room to get a box. All you have to do, walk in.
Grab a box,
here it is.
Bail.
Fuck off. No, Kyle decides he's going to go check the rest of the house.
Before we do anything, I got to check the rest of the house. And I'm like, why? You're right in front of it. You're 1 foot away from your prize.
Yes. Just take it and get out.
Yeah, it should have been, like, maybe the boxes weren't there.
Yeah.
At that stage or something. I don't know. Anyhow. We also see Shenard has left to go to the hospital again.
Yep.
Probably to get some more people.
He's gone to get someone.
So he's bailed. So it's just now Kirsty, Kyle, and then Julia are upstairs at the moment.
Yep. So Kyle leaves Kirsty in the oddities room. She's going through all the notes, and he's walked upstairs. He can hear this buzzing, and he's about to walk into what I've referred to as the corpse room.
Well, the corpse attic, yep.
And then Julia sneaks up behind him, and she's
but she didn't sneak up. She just touched it because he doesn't recognize her because he doesn't realize that
she's got skin now.
Well, she doesn't realize that she doesn't. He just thinks this is a lady who might be working in the place because she's like, "Oh, don't go in there. It's horrible."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Is it still in there?" Like referring to her.
Yeah.
As a monster. And then,
they have this, like, brief interaction, and he opens the door, and revealing the corpse room.
And
it's gross. It's, we get another sort of picturesque of, like, this whole, like, the room, the buzzing, is everything's dead and decomposing. So as that's happening, we get this cut back to Kirsty. She's now going through the notes and the books, and she comes back to the picture of Pre-Pinhead.
Pre-Pinhead, yeah. Yep. Just him, and he's like the photo of him as a human.
Yeah, in his little army fatigues, and then that's it. We cut back to Julia, locks Kyle in.
She follows him into the room, shuts the attic door and locks it, kind of thing. I think she locks it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. He seems so unfazed by the fact that he is in a room full of corpses,
which would stink,
with a woman, and who seems to be, like...
coming onto him?
Yeah, heavily coming onto him, but heavily coming onto him from a mum perspective.
Yeah, she's like saying, "My poor child," or whatever. It's like, horrible, isn't it?
Let mama make it.
And she kind of, like, saunters up to him, and we see from the back of her that she's still not finished. Like, her back is still, like, all the spine and the muscles and stuff like that. Then she, like, grabs Kyle, force kisses him, sticks her hands into the back of his head, basically, and then we see her back is now finished. Yep. So she is like, she's used Kyle as her last victim. He's dead, deady bones. I'm like, oh, Kyle?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Kyle.
He's dead. Fucking, it's a shame.
She sucks him dry, ditches him on the ground.
I mean, he kind of had it coming. I mean, we knew he had it coming just from any kind of, like, movie perspective. You watch it, you were like, yeah, he's going to die.
He could have been, like, the end boy. Yeah. Anyhow, we cut downstairs to Kirsty. She hears this thump from upstairs, which is basically Kyle hitting the ground.
It's like a Kyle-sized thud.
Yeah, Kyle. She goes, that sounds like Kyle hitting the ground. Since I can hear everything else. She grabs quickly in the way, she pockets the picture of human Pinhead, thinking, maybe I can use this at some stage against the Cenobites.
Yep. So she goes running up the stairs, walks straight into the corpse attic, and just basically sees all the carnage and everything.
Finds dead Kyle.
And she's just like, not again.
Yeah, she's like, not again. Oh, this is fun.
It's like, why are you saying not again? You're literally doing all of the steps to make sure that this is happening again.
Yeah, true. And Julia reveals herself from out of the shadows in the attic.
Yep.
She has this cool monologue. She's like, they changed the rules, Kirsty. I'm no longer the wicked stepmother. I'm now the evil queen.
Well, the character, Julia, was actually meant to be revealed as the Queen of Hell. But I think they were still in that...
Angelique, whatever her name is.
Very similar. But again, they were like, nah, Pinhead's better.
Yeah, well, Pinhead was supposed to be a passing Cenobite, and it was supposed to be about, like, the law of hell.
It was more so the first one was meant to be more about Frank and Skinless Frank and all of this. But then they realised that he just looked cooler. So they went with that. And here we have a franchise genius.
Yeah. So... I never understood this. Like, was she really a queen? Like, because, like, it's almost like she's implying, even later on, that, like, she was let out of hell on purpose. Which she wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, this film had a lot of rewrites as well. So I think they were going in a direction and things sort of changed. And then they had to kind of go with what they already had.
Yeah. Anyhow, she slaps Kirsty out.
Yeah, smacks a bitch.
Smack. Kirsty is unconscious now. Yeah. Then Shenard rocks up, back from the hospital. Who has he got with him but Tiffany? Oh. Not the girl that can solve puzzles.
No, that would be too easy.
So then we cut to Tiffany, sitting on the floor of the research, like, what do you call it? Oddities room?
The Oddities room, yeah.
And she has a puzzle box in her. So they've clearly he's clearly given a puzzle box. Julia and Shenard are hiding behind a two-way mirror, watching the events, and she's like, are you sure you want this? And he's like, this is what I've always wanted. I have to see. I have to know. So he's like, and she's like, okay. Like, doesn't faze her that much. But, like, I thought that would have fazed her a lot more. But then she's giving him what he wants. But then again, it is a bit more of a plan.
Yeah. I mean, I think she kind of knew exactly what she was doing from the very get-go with how he would end up
she knows
in this hell kind of thing.
So then Tiffany starts to solve the box, and the room starts to react to her, because that's what happens when you start solving the box. Like, the whole world kind of warps around you, because it's actually creating a gateway between the dimensions. Yeah,
and it's such a nice scene as well, because she doesn't just sort of get the box and start, like, doodling it like a fucking Rubik's Cube. She's investigating the box, and she's kind of like looking and investigating and interacting with it before she starts even touching it.
She's a pro puzzler.
She is a pro puzzler.
So she's like,
And of course, like, this electric storm starts happening because Pumpkinhead's round back as well. It's fine.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead bringing the big weather. Like the fetuses in the jars start to come alive and bubble. Things start, all the papers blow around, windows fly open.
It's good.
And then Tiffany solves the box. And then of course, as soon as she solves the box, everything starts to explode. Yeah. Like the jars explode. And then, like, the two-way mirror that Julia and Shenard are looking at explodes into their faces. They're like, oh, well, that's fucked. Doesn't hurt them. And then we see the hell doors open. Yep. So the hell doors are like, I just call them hell doors.
That's fine.
They're like dimensional gateways. They're doors that open up where doors aren't. And I really like that. That's part of the thing. So it's just like, gateways to desires and stuff like that. And we also see a doorway open behind Julia and Shenard. And they're still hidden from this whole view, you know what I mean? And they kind of look behind them, and then we see the Cenobites come out of the things, and it's Pinhead and his gash.
Yes.
Do you remember they're called a gash?
They are called a gash.
So a gash is a group of Cenobites with a hell priest, and so Pinhead is the hell priest, and his gash is made up of
Butterball, Chatterer,
and then the
and just female Cenobite. She never got a fucking name.
She does have a name though.
Does she?
Her name is I've written it down later, kind of thing. The next time they come in, I've written it down.
Fair. That's okay. So they've arrived. Pinhead, he comes in all his fucking glory, and
they're all sharpening knives, looking menacing. Tiffany's not even scared because she is so glitched.
Yes.
See, she's just sitting on the ground like going, people.
Yeah.
People have come in. I've got new friends.
Yeah.
Have they? Puzzles.
Maybe you guys can puzzle with me.
Yeah.
And, because they're ready to fucking do whatever they're going to do to her. And he basically just turns around and he's like...
Pinhead?
It's not... Yeah, sorry. Pinhead turns around and he's like, it's not hands that call us. It's desire. So he knows that she's not the one who's necessarily called on them. It's someone else.
Yeah, and this is what's weird in this part. The hell doors just stay open. Is it because of Pinhead going like, no, we can't take... Do they only close when something's happened? Anyhow, it didn't make any sense to me. That so they don't attack Tiffany. They just leave her.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about her. And then it cuts to Julia and Shanard. They've walked into the hell door and they're in a facet of hell.
Yeah, they're just walking through this tunnel, and Julia just keeps sort of looking at him like he seems so...
He's like a kid in a candy store, and she's the one showing him the candy store.
Yeah, so she's kind of... But she also has this, like, weirdly proud, sinister look about her. Like...
Well, she always does.
Enjoy it while you can, motherfucker.
Exactly.
I like
And then we see, like, Pinhead and that, they just leave. They just walk back into their doors.
Yeah.
And leave old Tiffany there.
Did you notice that she's standing there and because she's completely unfazed by this, and she sort of just watches them leave, but she's got this sort of knowing smirk about her as well. Like she knows something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, does she pick up the box? No. She leaves the box there.
I think she leaves the box there.
And then... That's it. We kind of see her wistfully, intriguingly looking at the hell door.
Yeah.
And then it cuts. And I've written in my notes, why didn't the hell doors close up when they went back?
Yeah.
It must be something to do with something.
Yep.
We cut to Kirsty waking up now from her unconsciousness. She looks around the room, sees the whole world is kind of pulsating and breathing, and she's like, oh no.
Yeah. It's all crumbling around her
someone's
again.
Someone's opened the box.
Because she comes down. She comes down to where Tiffany is, where Tiffany was, and she finds the box.
Yeah, she grabs the box. And just, in one stride, she runs through the room, grabs the box, and runs straight into a hell door.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing. She's not fucking around.
Yeah, and then she starts, she's running around for a while. She starts yelling out, Dad, where are you, Dad?
It's not Dad that she's...
Well, then I think we get a shot of like a wide shot. It cuts out from this thing and we can see that they're in a gigantic labyrinth.
Yeah, it's basically like an MC Escher maze.
Yeah. It's like it's like super duper tall, as in like there's levels and levels and levels that go down and down and down. It's all made of stone, gothic-y looking kind of thing.
It looks really good.
So Kirsty's running around for a while looking for her dad. Yeah, Dad. She runs into Tiffany in hell.
Yep.
Yeah, she's like, she doesn't even go, Tiffany, what are you doing here? Yeah. Like, she had no idea that Shanard brought her to hell.
No.
I mean, to the house. So she's just like, Tiffany, hey, how you been?
What's
Fancy running into you here. What have you been up to? Anyway, they run. Yeah, that is a bit weird that she doesn't even.
She's not phased. She's like, well, we're all here, aren't we? The gang's all here.
Oh, hang on, no. I've cut ahead.
Yep.
Before they run into each other, we see Tiffany walking through hell a little bit, just investigating hell.
She's in some weird carnival sideshow.
Yeah, because hell just changes to who you are kind of thing. She's in a carnival sideshow. There's like images of her mum going, please help my child, help my child. And then like someone grabs her. I can only assume, this is what I've always got from this, that Dr. Shanard, they went to Dr. Shanard to help her child. And he saw the potential in the puzzle-solving version of her.
Yes.
Kept her as an inpatient.
Yes.
And killed her mother.
Yes.
So he could keep Tiffany.
Yes.
Yeah, is that what you got out of it?
That is, like, pretty much explained in in a little bit in the film. Like they really hardline that.
So he never shows it being Dr. Channard. I thought maybe she was just like that may have happened before, and that's what made her like that. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of trauma. So there's a lot of trauma flashbacks from her. So all you see is her as a young girl, which is
Mommy.
The only way they make her into a young girl is just by
she's
giving her weird
walked in
details.
on someone killing her parents.
Yeah, so we only get this weird trauma. It's not until a little bit later on that we get the actual scene by scene rundown of what has happened, which is enough to sort of leave it open ended for you to go, well, but
did Channard actually?
I fully just get it.
Operate on her to make her not be able to speak.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he made her he lobotomized her a little bit just so she wouldn't. Because
it's just a
got
little
sexy
lobotomy.
with the mum and killed her or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Kirsty runs in. Tiffany's still not that fazed by all the shit she's looking at.
Yeah. Well, before that, I think before they run into each other, because it's Kirsty finds her a nice family home. She's looking at old family photos, and everything starts to bleed. Things start to break. Everything starts shattering. Because I don't.
This is the house that the first movie was set in.
Yeah. And then everything starts to just go to shit in this house, and then she's once again surrounded by the Cenobites.
Yeah, so they've caught up with a Pitter and his Gasher there. Mm-hmm. And I really like this scene, how they would spin around when they're talking to her in the shot, the camera shot. Like, it just gave that unease of, they don't even exist in the correct gravity. So every time it cut to a Cenobite talking, they would be spinning around the shot. It's really cool. Just to make it more uneasy. They're like, oh, Kirsty, what do you? Of course you'd be here.
Fucking hell.
When shit fucks up, it's always you. You know, you fucked us over once, you fucked us over twice.
He says something about it as well. She's like, I didn't even open the box. And he's like, and here you are.
He goes, what was it last time? Didn't know what the box did.
Yep.
How many excuses have you got?
That's right. He changes.
She's actually got the box at this time.
Yes.
And she tries to start fucking with it. And he goes how can it send us back? We're already here.
Yes.
And I really like those lines and stuff.
And then he changes the box.
No, he doesn't change the box.
He doesn't change the box?
No. So the box flies up, transforms into... the only thing I can say it as is a D8 Dungeons and Dragon dice is that shape. It's like a diamond.
I kind of thought he was doing it with his mind.
No, because there's that point there, he looks at the puzzle box and he's perplexed by it. I mean, he looks at it and goes why did the puzzle box turn into that other thing, which is Leviathan? Yeah. Which is, I'm going to bang on. That's my favourite.
I know, I can't wait.
He's my favourite character.
Everybody get ready. Yeah. Get ready.
Yeah, so the box changes itself. So there's something going on weird. And then, that Pinhead doesn't... This is the whole thing. Pinhead doesn't know. He thinks it's business as usual, but there's something... he doesn't know about Julia.
Yep.
He doesn't know about any of this shit.
Okay. So he's basically just feel free to explore.
Yeah. She goes to run away, and he's just go. He goes feel free.
We have eternity to know your flesh.
Yeah.
Which
so
he
just lets her out. He doesn't care, right? She's already in hell. He does give her a lot of leeway, old Kirsty.
He does.
She has helped him in the past, though.
Yep. So then we get this next sort of scene of Channard and Julia. There's babies crying in the background. I'm not...
Oh, no. First, she's Kirsty yells at Pinhead before she bails. She's like, I've come for my father. And he's like, oh... But he is in his own hell, as you're in yours. And I'm like, hang on, this doesn't make any sense, because we should be in Tiffany's hell, because she opened the box.
Yes.
Yet, no.
Here we are.
And also later on, Frank's in there. But that could be part of her hell.
I think it is part of her hell, for sure. And I think part of her hell was actually just forever
and then she goes
searching and not being able to find her father.
Yeah, and then she goes to run out and explore hell.
Okay. We get this weird why are there babies crying?
There's always babies crying.
Yeah. But it just sort of perplexed me a little bit that it had something to do with Channard, but also we have no I don't know.
No, even in the first film, babies crying is just it's an unnerving thing that is supposed to jilt you.
It is very unnerving.
We're programmed as humans that when babies cry, we get anxious to go stop it crying. So just a constant baby crying, would really fuck you off.
It really would. So yeah, there's babies crying, and then all of a sudden, like, they spy through like a little walkway that there's just people fucking, because of course they are. Why wouldn't
one
they
of them
be?
turns into Julia?
Yeah, sure.
It's as hell. It doesn't make sense. It's more his desire kind of thing. We can only assume that, like, everyone has their own hell in this labyrinth.
Yeah.
So, like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe Pinner was implying your father is in his own hell, which meaning in a part of this labyrinth, which is so far away, you'll never find it. Like,
well, it is a lot like...
because it is the labyrinth. There's not, like, different versions of this place. This is the labyrinth of hell.
It's very much like the movie The Labyrinth with David Bowie.
Yeah. Well, there was a goblin prince.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's fine.
Anyway, we cut back to Kirsty.
Yeah. Now she's running through the halls. She's lost. And then she stumbles upon Tiffany.
This is where she runs into her. Yeah.
She runs into her and she's like, you got to close the box.
Yeah, like, you open the box, Tiffany. You have to close it so we can get out of here, mate. That doesn't make sense. Sure. We'll run with that. And now, cut to Julia and Shannard. They're at the top of the labyrinth now. So they're like the most echelon part. They're basically walking on top of it.
Yep.
And it's a wide shot to reveal the big old Leviathan. So the Leviathan is, he is the lord of the labyrinth. He is, from people who don't know what he looks like, he is basically, what is that shape? Imagine a D8 D&D dice, but elongated. So like a big two pyramids sitting ass to ass on each other.
Yeah, that's the best description.
But elongated, so it's very long, and it's just this big fucking monolith that floats in the middle of the labyrinth and just slowly spins.
And it's like this sound that's coming out of it as well.
Yeah, which I've written down what that is. Mm-hmm. So he's the master and creator of the Cenobite. So he is basically the Cenobite boss, and he is an elder god. He is an entity. He has existed before there was existence.
Yeah.
He liked, everything when it was nothing. He was like, this is wicked. Mm-hmm. And suddenly there was like the Big Bang. He was pre-Big Bang, and then the chaos started to come in, the chaos theory to create humans. And he's just like, he fucking hates chaos. He's like, oh.
Yeah, Leviathan is like the epitome of organization and structure.
Yeah. So he sees humans as too chaotic. So his whole thing is he created the Cenobites, he created the labyrinth, and he created the puzzle boxes to bring them and to annihilate humans, basically. Which is like, he's just trying to get shit back to being pre-Big Bang. Which is such a big idea.
It's a big call. It's a lot of work.
In that scene, there's like this horn going the whole time. It's like, and that actually is Morse code for God.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's very, very cool. Right? And
it's the little things that really...
Like, to me, the Leviathan is the best character in Hellraiser. It's such a weird character. He has daughters. He's an inanimate object that has daughters. Angelique, whatever. What was her name?
Angelique.
Angelique or whatever. Yeah, she's the princess of hell, which implies... Yeah, but later on, because, like, what's her name? Julia says she's the princess, the queen of hell.
Yeah.
So she, Angelique's whatever's mother? Did she bang the monolith?
Hey, look, whatever floats your boat, okay? You want to bang a monolith, you bang a monolith.
Yeah, so... Yeah, he views the human world of flesh as chaotic and wrong, kind of thing. And he uses the Cenobites as foot soldiers in the war against chaos and flesh.
Yeah.
I love that line. So that's Leviathan. He's just a big old spinning Dr. Rubik's puzzle. And that is what the puzzle box turned into. And that's why Pinhead was like, why would he turn into my god?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, so then Julia, that was me monologuing about Leviathan. Then we get Julia monologuing about him, like Leviathan being her god and blah, 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 blah. But what he also has is these two jets of black light that come out of both sides of him. And as he's spinning, if you get hit by those black beams, like with Dr. Shannard does get hit by them, and it makes you feel all the sins and wrongdoings that you have done in your life in an instant.
Yeah.
So we see Dr. Shannard get hit by this black beam, and we get a quick flash montage of all this like grotesquity.
Yeah.
Some of the things being, I think,
some of the things of what he's done to Tiffany. Yeah. but not like the full amount yet. That's up and coming.
And then he, like, obviously that fucking takes a shitload out of you. He's like, oh, fuck. And Julia's like, but this is what you wanted to see. This is what you wanted to know. And he's like, oh, fuck, this is shit.
Yeah. He's on that border between I fully regret this decision and please, sir, may I have another?
Yeah. No, I don't think he's ever on another. I think at this point he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe I, bit off more than I can chew. And at this point we see a thing rising up from behind him.
It's like a box.
It's a creation chamber, it's called.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like the puzzle box, but it's more like a closet. So you go into the closet.
Yep.
Oh, Clive. It's basically, Julia kind of like walks him backwards into this thing, pushes him into this thing. We see like these like kind of biomechanical fleshy arms grab into him, stab into him. We see like cheese wire get pulled over his face. We see big fleshy syringes get stabbed into him and they're taking out his blood. We see another one get stabbed into him and it's putting in blue liquid into him.
Yeah.
It basically violates him in every space. A big fucking one goes into his mouth and fucks his mouth. And so this is the creation chamber. And, it's like...
Yeah. It looks really good.
Yeah, it's gross.
It is.
It's very disturbing. It's like a torturous, horrible violation of being a human. Anyhow, that floats down. It goes back into the floor. Wherever the fuck it came from. Who knows?
Yep. So, basically, if he's going into this creation chamber to become this Cenobite, does that create a box of its own?
No.
So he
No,
doesn't...
there's heaps of fucking boxes.
Yeah. So, like, each Cenobite doesn't have its own box.
No, the Leviathan just creates boxes.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah, it's the doorways, basically.
It's just what he's doing.
Yeah, and the Cenobites go out and he's like his soldiers that go out and fuck cunts up. But they just kind of act like they don't even know why they're doing it. Like, and at this point, the Cenobites think they've done it forever.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know that they used to be human.
It's probably like first day on the job kind of thing.
Yeah. Cut back to Kirsty and Tiffany. They're still fucking around in hell. Trying to, they're still trying to find her dad, even though they're like told...
Just stop trying to find your dad. Just leave.
Kirsty comes up and suddenly, oh, look, this front door. This is my old house. Let's go in there. Why would you ever think in this place that your dad is going to be in the door? This is like going into Freddy's house and thinking it's going to be A-okay.
Yeah, right? Yep.
So she goes in going, oh, this is my house. Clearly it'll be fine.
And Tiffany's just there and she's just like, in her like mute way, saying like, don't go into the house. I don't want you to go in the house. She's like, it'll be fine. You stay here. I'll be out in a minute.
Yeah.
So she goes into this house. It's not a house. It's like this big sort of open area.
It's like a concrete church.
Yeah.
A brutalist concrete church.
Yeah. And, every step she takes, like a bed comes...
A big stone bed,
out,
yeah.
And there is like a woman sort of writhing under sheets and they're
we
kind
can't
of
see her. She's like, oh, yeah, I feel sexy.
Can you do it in your sexy deep voice right now?
And then she goes to pull it... No. She goes to pull off the sheet, and like whenever she pulls off the sheet, the lady disappears.
Yep.
So like, what the fuck? And these things are like intermittently coming out, and then sliding back into these holes in the wall. And I'm like, very cool, very, very. Just more imagination that any film is deserved to have. Mm-hmm. Like, and then from out of the shadows comes Uncle Frank.
Well, she comes across a makeup dresser, and this makeup dresser is like, it's dirty, so all the makeup that is on there has all been spilled out. It's like, it's every makeup lady's nightmare. Like, that's not how you go. And as she's sort of looking at this, she sees this picture, and Frank has a picture of himself. Well, there's a picture of Frank on the dresser, and she looks up. On the mirror is written, "I'm in hell, help me."
Which is the same bad punctuation as the first one.
And as this is happening, the beds with the women, they come out again. This time they're all blood soaked, so they're all writhing under there, but the sheets are all bloody. And then Uncle Frank He rocks up.
Who is the protagonist, the antagonist from the first film, who gets pulled back into hell at the end.
It looks a little bit like Zac Efron in this.
He's not a bad looking dude. The whole point is that he is like super charismatic and you can't resist him.
Yeah.
Women. That's why he's a fucking dickhead to women.
He is a dickhead. And he just says, Didn't you get my message?
Didn't you get my message, Kirsty? Mm-hmm. He's all like, everyone's so sinister.
Yes. And he immediately attacks her.
He gives us a little flashback to like that 1 second of like, help me, I'm in hell from the very start, just in case you didn't put all those puzzle pieces together. 2 and 2 together.
He's got her up against like a pillar and he's explaining like, I sent for you. Like, you know, he's basically like, you know, it wasn't your dad, it was me. I needed you to come here so I can get out. Evil plan, evil plan, evil plan. And he kind of explains that the women under the sheets are there to tease him.
Because this is my hell. They promise forever and never deliver.
That's right. So he kind of called her in because he's just super horny and needs something to bang. She kisses him, which... Okay, why? Why is she kissing him? I know why she's doing it, but also why?
Darcy. She's like, I'm going to, you know, the only way to get out of this is to play along for a second. You know, get him on the back foot a bit.
You know, she walks over. So she kisses him. She walks over to where one of those weird bed things are, and she basically says, like, you do with me what you will. But immediately whips off a sheet, sending it over to the makeup table where there are candles. There's candles and fucking flames everywhere.
She said, I'd rather burn. Which, I don't get this bit, eh?
And then immediately the sheet goes up in flames. Everything else goes up in flames because it's not just a, you know, localized fire. It's everything.
I think because maybe the whole point is he's not allowed to get rid of the sheets maybe, or not allowed to touch them.
Possibly.
Or something. Or I don't know. But yeah, anyhow, everything catches on fire.
Yeah. And in between this, like, he starts peeling off his face.
Or his skin kind of melts off. Because why does he have skin?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
I think he's just acquired some skin, but it wasn't on very well, and this has all loosened it up. So yeah, all his skin melts off, and he's turned into a skinless man.
Yep. So he's just there, you know, skinless, looking dapper. The flames dissipate, and all of a sudden, Julia is now in the room with Tiffany.
She's grabbed Tiffany from the scruff of her neck.
She's got her hostage.
And she's like, Frank. Now, if we all remember,
Frank
fucked her over.
They have beef.
Yeah, they have beef. He basically sacrificed. They had that, you know, they were lovers, but he was actually fake loving her, and he sacrificed her to the Cenobites at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Of the first film. So she is fucking pissed. Like, she got sent to hell because of him.
Yeah. He tries.
But he thinks he's like God's gift to women.
He does, and even skinless, he's trying to seduce her, and he's there, and he's like, oh, remember we all those good times that we fucked real good, and you just come back to me, and we can, you know, we'll rule hell together. No, it's not.
Well, she kind of still like slutty goes, yeah, that's gonna happen. It's gonna be great. Yeah. Then she fucking rams her fist into his back. And pulls his heart out through his back. And then she says the line that he says to her in the first film. Like, she's like, nothing personal, baby. Because he like stabs her in the film and says that. Like,
that scene alone, she's just there. Because she had this whole smug sense of determination on her face as soon as she saw him. Like, she knew what she was going to do. And she is just... I think she knew that there was no way he had any kind of hold or defeat coming at her.
And she's more powerful now.
Yes.
Because she's like... we forgot to mention this. Like earlier on, she mentions like that, you know, Leviathan is my god. He sent me out to find some more Cenobites, basically. People to become Cenobites. Yeah. And I chose you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Which makes me feel that like the desires that Sinead was feeling for the box maybe being like put in through her or something. Like, how do they choose people? Anyhow. Doesn't matter.
It's a fucking great scene, and I absolutely loved it. So Kirsty and Tiffany, they make a run for it. So while all this is happening, they make a run for it. Of course, they fucking...
A wall just opens up and creates like a vortex.
Yeah, like a
sucking vortex.
Windy vortex. But of course, one of them drops and falls dropping the puzzle box, and then Julia picks it up because now she's caught up with them.
It's not the puzzle box. It's the Leviathan box.
Okay, the Leviathan box. I apologize.
The arse end pyramid shape instead of a square.
Yeah. So she's picked it up. Meanwhile, we now get this Dr. Channard is coming out of the box as a newly formed Cenobite.
Yeah, so we see the creation chamber like slowly rising up out of the thing, and like, wait up.
So he's a newly formed Cenobite, and he's like reveling in this. Like this is like a sense of power that's come through him. So obviously it's something that he's wanted for a very long time. And he's there and he's like...
He walks out at first.
Yeah, and he's like, and to think I... Hesitated.
And he's like got the cheese wires on his face. He's blue.
Like he's dug into him.
He's got the garb.
Yep.
He's all like... Yeah. At the moment, all his vibe is he's just a Cenobite with cheese wire on his face.
Yep.
But then from all of a sudden, from above him... comes down this big fat worm, like a tapeworm kind of vibe.
Yep, that's what we'll call it for now.
A big tapeworm. Yep. It's fat. It's like as thick as like a human head, like worm. And it opens up its kind of like jaw things, and it's got like the brain.
Yep.
One of the like brain masher. One of his tools he does for open brain surgery, and that comes down and grabs the top of Channard's head, and he's like,
yeah, it's like just drilling into him, and he's
drilling
just like...
into his head, and like. And he's like, he's spasming out.
Yeah.
And then that's a hard cut, I think.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's a hard cut. Back to Tiffany. She now has noticed that Julia has the Leviathan box, and she's decided she's going to go in for the rescue.
What's that? No. First, so yeah, so that we forgot to kind of mention this vortex has opened up on one of the walls, and it's trying to suck them in. Kirsty's grabbed onto the other wall. Tiffany's kind of half in it, holding on, getting sucked. It's all very loud, and then the Julia's run up, and then she's kind of like full. I think someone hits her or something, or a bit of lightning, or Kirsty hits Julia, and then she gets pulled into the vortex, but she stops herself halfway down the vortex because she's so strong.
Yeah. So Julia's like, she's like both hands against the walls, and she's kind of like just standing there.
It's really hard to explain what this thing is because it doesn't make any sense.
No,
it's like
it doesn't.
A sucking doorway.
Yeah. It's like a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
It's a wind tunnel.
We don't even know if it's bad at the other end.
No, we have no idea.
We assume it's bad because we're in hell.
I assume it is. So she's still got this like Leviathan box in her hand, and Tiffany spies it, and she's like, I'm going for it.
Yeah, and Kirsty thinks that Tiffany's trying to save Julia, but she's kind of actually just like reaching out for the box.
Yeah,
and Julia goes, you idiot, trying to save me.
and meanwhile, like Kirsty's like, no, don't let her fool you. But I think she knew full well what she was doing, because Tiffany grabs Julia's arm, and as she starts pulling her arm, of course, her skin starts to become loose.
Yeah.
And then she's like immediately sucked out.
Yeah, it's kind of like her back rips, and she's sucked out of her own skin, and and just leaving
her flesh.
Yeah, her skin.
Just the skin body.
We see her skinless body go, fall into the vortex. I think it's the last time we. Yeah.
I think it's the last time we see her.
And then,
but it's just like this skin on the floor.
Yeah, she's just a skin costume now.
Which still has the Leviathan box in hand. And I'm guessing this is where the guy from the Furies got his outfit from.
Oh, yeah. I think it's just how the guy got the idea for a onesie. Anyway, yeah, so we've now got like the corpse of like Julia's skin is still holding the puzzle jewel.
Mm-hmm. But they also
Tiffany
just
tosses
leave
down.
it.
She's still holding. Yeah, well, I think she just freaks out. Well, they don't even know. To them, that's not even the puzzle box.
No, because it doesn't look like the box.
Yeah, and
so they basically just like dump and run.
They're like, fuck this shit.
And they run back. They make their way back into the hospital room.
Yeah, they make it out
where the doors close.
Yeah,
so the doors to hell close. They run
down this hall. They get back to the room. The hell door closes. Is it closed?
Yeah, it closes.
Yeah, they look back and it's just a normal wall, and they're like, we fucking did it.
Yeah.
We got out of hell.
You know, Kirsty's
we
sitting
didn't
there.
have to go in there.
No, we didn't have to do it, but we did it, and now, you know, we're sitting here. So Kirsty's upset. She's failed her dad. You know, so she's sitting on the bed having a bit of a cry to herself, and then Tiffany comes over and consoles her.
Yeah, a tender moment with Tiffany, like, kind of like, she doesn't show any emotion to anyone, and this is the first time we've seen her go, like, she perplexed by her own actions. She's like, what am I doing? Why am I, like, touching this other person? You. Yeah, so she kind of, and then, like, I think Kirsty, they hug.
Yeah, she's like, we're getting out of here.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. And they go down, out of the room, they start walking down the halls, and what do we see?
Yeah.
Shit's gone south.
Yep. So like another storm has rolled in at this time, because there's all of these inmates that are in those beds at the very beginning. They are each on a bed playing with a puzzle box.
And not only are they playing with a puzzle box, the puzzle box is chained to their faces.
Yeah.
So they're all playing with these puzzle boxes chained to their faces. I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, such good. There's so many good scenes. And then they get to the end of, like, you know, the ward. The long ward, and the double doors burst open that all wards have, and fucking in comes
Dr. Cenobite.
Dr. Shenard, who has now been, his Cenobite name is the Doctor.
Yeah.
So he's now the Doctor. He is being suspended by the big fat dick worm that's holding his head.
Yeah. He's now like the Doc Ock of Cenobites.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I love this idea because this has always stuck with me, this idea of the character of, like, they're suspended by this thing which just goes off out a shot or into a, like, thing that you just don't know where it comes from.
Yeah,
and how long, like, it is, or how it's worked.
What's at the end of it?
Yeah, what's at the end. I love it. It's just anyhow.
That's fine. He just goes to fucking town.
No, but first, like, so he bursts in. Fucking, you know, Kirsty looks at it, amazed, and then we see Tiffany, and first thing she says in the whole film, she breaks her silence, just goes, oh shit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So Tiffany, obviously it takes the trauma of this thing to get over her silence, her mutism, which I've always liked that line, like her.
Yeah. It's a good sort of, like, because that would be anyone else's reaction, so you can see she's sort of coming back to it.
And then we get, like, a shot of the Doctor's hands, and we get the stop motion animation of his hands bursting open, and out come these, like, snakes, which are clearly fed in through the worm tube.
Yeah.
And they have, like, they kind of have mouths on the end, but they can change into whatever they want.
Yeah, so like some of them have scalpels, others have, like, needles or something in that.
They're like eyeballs that when they blink, they can become other things, kind of thing.
It looks...
Did you like
sick.
it? Yeah, it looks... Yeah. It's gross, isn't it?
I love a stop motion as well. Like, I love a stop motion.
And every time they show you things, like, you know, they'll change. They'll, like, change from an eyeball, and then the eyeball will get pierced by a knife from inside, and then turn into a knife. And you're like... So these things... the idea of the Cenobite is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And this is happening on Earth now. So the third Hellraiser film is called Hell on Earth. This is clearly way worse than anything that happened in that first film. And this is only in a corridor. You know what I mean? Like,
I like it.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's going to town on those poor people. Like, they're all dead. They're all going to die. They're all dead. Cuts back to
because Kirsty and Tiffany run off.
Yeah, they just.
He's not even really that interested in them.
No, I don't think he is.
He's just saying doctor lines. He's like, the doctor is in.
Yeah, I like a good doctor line.
He says heaps of them,
especially when it's coming out to some evil.
Yeah, and then we, like, see, you know, picture of one of the people on the bed who's solving one of the inmates, and he's like, and we see, like, the knives go smack, like, the snake knives out of the dude's head, like, smash into his forehead and stuff. So, and then that kind of cuts, and we're, you know, it's implying that he's going through and killing everything he comes across.
Yes. Yes.
And then we cut, you know, there's a little bit of shot of, like, Kirsty and Tiffany running through the halls of the hospital trying to escape, and of course they walk into a room and it's full of, it's dark, it's full of chains. It's got the pillars are quite like the hell pillars, they're like, you know, pillars with all this kind of shit on them and they're turning around, and of course it's Pinhead and his gash.
Yes. His
gash is there. The whole team's there. Because they'd probably be, like, perplexed of what's going on as well, because they're in, like, they haven't been called by the box, and now they're in...
Lots of shit's happening currently, and we're not exactly sure what it is, and they don't know what it is. So they've come to sort of investigate this.
Yeah, Pinhead's kind of like, we're here.
Yeah.
You know, of course it's fucking you, Kirsty. Of course
It's
you're
like,
here.
once again, whenever we turn around and there's a problem, it's always you.
The female's name is Sister Nicoletta.
Oh.
So she was a nun originally that was obsessed with like pain and desire and sexiness and stuff. So you know she kept it from herself but did it on the side.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's her human name and that's all that she's known as apart from female Cenobite.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So
Pinhead still wants to fuck her up even though he doesn't know what. He's just going along with the rules. He's just like I'm a stickler.
Yep.
Like
so this is my job.
I'm here now. I'm here, so I do my thing.
And she's basically like, she's like, oh, but wait, no, like, don't. So I'm guessing he's there to take them back to hell.
He's just sick of it, I reckon.
Yeah, and he's just like, no deals.
Like, you're not like last night. No deals.
And she's just like, no, no deals, just information.
He's like,
And he hands...
Tell me more.
Sorry. He's like, I'm intrigued, rather than, oh, bitch, you are annoying. She hands him the photo of himself as the pre-Pinhead.
And he's like, who is this? Someone else you think has escaped us? And she goes, no, it's you.
And he's just like, nonsense. And
he starts to monologue as, I am for... And she goes, just think about it.
Yeah.
Like, interrupts him. He's like, oh, okay.
It's like, oh, think about it then. And he starts to remember who he was.
Remember.
It just made me think of the Lion King. It was like, remember who you are.
Yeah. And then I've written in my notes, I'm not sure why it even matters that he was a human. Was it just like that because he feels like he's been ripped off? Maybe he can sympathise with it because he was once a person who got pulled in by the box, by Leviathan, and then chose exactly like Shenard.
Yeah.
But Shenard probably over time will forget he was ever human.
Yeah, so you were essentially this person, you were brought here, and now you are this
And at this point, I think he still would have killed her.
Yeah.
But the doctor suddenly bursts in the room. And the Cenobites are like, well, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Because they haven't been told that, you know, there's been a change of management.
Yeah.
Leviathan doesn't send out memos. He didn't hear this by the Cenobite blood water cooler on the way in.
Yeah.
They're like...
He's also come in for Tiffany. He's not actually come in for anything other than Tiffany. Like, he's on a mission for her.
Yeah. Like... And he's not really abiding by the rules either of the rules that have been set for so many years. So then Pinhead and that, like, they're like, what are you doing?
What the fuck? We're having none of this.
Yeah, like, this isn't part of how we do stuff.
Yeah.
And then the doctor looks at the Cenobites and goes, oh, more fucking people to fuck up. So he's just like...
He doesn't care. He does not care that they're Cenobites. He doesn't care that there's probably some kind of pecking order and that he's now being a dickhead to his manager.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But then all of a sudden, and then, like, so Pinhead then, you know, does his, like, calls his chains, his weapon, he kind of, like, you know, looks up into the distance and we see these chains fly, which is one of the best effects. The chains are so good.
Yeah.
And as the quote of Todd McFarlane did, like, you know, this is a real famous Todd McFarlane quote.
I don't know what the quote is,
Kids dig chains. Because, you know, Spawn has chains all over him.
Yeah,
that was his quote.
I'm not gonna lie.
Kids love chains.
It's true.
People like chains. I used to love them. I used to love drawing chains as a kid with hooks on the end going into people because of the film. But yeah, he stabs up the doctor, holds him in place. But yeah, the doctor's hand snakes. They cut the chains off.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh.
Siri.
And then, so the doctor then proceeds to pick off each Cenobite one by one.
He fires the snakes out as projectiles, which later on if you can do this. So they turn into spears and fire into each like Cenobite, impaling them, except for Pinhead. But then as they die...
Yep. As they die, so like the lady Cenobite is the first to go and she falls to the ground in her human form.
Yeah.
So as the nun that she was, he then does the same thing to Butterball. He's just like a big guy, and what gets me is fucking Chatterer, which I think is the coolest looking of the Cenobites.
Yeah, they're like
he gets like impaled on one of the
hell poles.
The hell poles. And as it's spinning, it's a fucking kid.
Yeah, he turns back into a kid.
He's a child.
So that means a child. They're implying that a child got the puzzle box at some stage and solved it and got pulled into hell for his desires. And
so now I need to find out, like, what the fuck is up with that.
It's in the comics.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, son of a bitch. Because now I'm intrigued. Like,
so he's just wiped out Pinhead's gash.
Yeah.
And Pinhead's like, well, fuck this shit. But then, weirdly enough, I don't understand this. Like, the Doctor has this electric power that comes out of his, like, stigmata hands that he has. He's very, like, Jesus hanging off the cross kind of thing. He's always got his hands out. Like, this lightning comes out and hits Pinhead, and every time it hits him, it transforms him back a little bit. It's like his humanity is firing back into him.
Yeah.
So each time he hits Pinhead with this lightning, he transforms back more into a human, and then by the end, he's a normal human.
Yep.
And he gives like a look at Kirsty and Tiffany, and he gives them the nod, like, you know,
it's like,
he goes,
it's time to go.
He goes, you told me about this, or some shit. He goes like, you know what? I'll let you go. I'll give you this one. Who knows really what's going on?
I don't know. But it's also it's not Doug Bradley. It's the art director. So the art director kind of looked a little bit like Doug Bradley, and they just stuck him in that costume and went, here you go. Because it's such a short amount of time on screen, they wouldn't have like... Okay,
because they didn't get Doug Bradley for number 3. They got that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not Doug Bradley. And I like that. That's nice. And then, you know, the Kirsty and Tiffany, they run off, and Pinhead, like, poor Pinhead, his throat gets slashed.
He falls down, chokes.
He's dead.
He's dead. Pinhead's dead. And I think this is another thing, Barker not wanting him to be the main guy. He's just trying to get rid of him.
Well, I guess as well, like, if you've got an idea of something... And unfortunately, it's not going the way you plan because marketing take over. Like, how many people end up hating their own creations because of what a marketing team have done to it?
Yeah. It's fucked. Anyhow, we cut back to Tiffany. They just run.
Yeah.
And that's the end. That's the end of that scene.
Yeah.
I think at the end, like, you know, the Doctor kills Pinhead and then he just has a big yell.
He's just keen as a bean. Like, he's just really happy to be here today.
Yeah, he's like yeah, fuck.
He's like, I've had my morning Joe, and I'm just here to fuck some shit up.
He said, I drank a cup of Jolt cola.
Jolt cola.
I'm all about this shit. Let's go kill more things.
Yep,
This is great.
Killing is great. Killing is business, and business is good.
Exactly. And Tiffany can now talk.
Yes.
She's like, I have to go back and finish the puzzle.
Yeah.
I just know what's going on now. I've been, you know, we have to go back to her. So they run. Suddenly the hell door just opens up for her.
Leviathan is now hovering over the hospital as well.
Oh, is he?
So we get this very quick scene of Leviathan, like, it's over the hospital. So everything is starting to come back into this world.
It's almost like Leviathan's plan was to create hell on earth to just, like, he's just like, you know what? This shit's not going fast enough. I've been doing this for, like, 10,000 years. These humans keep breeding. I gotta knock it up a notch.
Yeah.
He might have had a meeting with some other diamonds.
Hit with the spice weasel. Bam.
Yeah. Nice. They run back into hell.
Mm-hmm.
And they run and pick up they run up Julia's skin, who's still holding the Julia's skin, who's still holding the
Leviathan box.
The Leviathan box. They grab that.
Yep.
And then they run and they Tiffany just knows how to get through the labyrinth all the time. So they run back up to the top where Leviathan is.
Yes.
Yeah. What else?
So she's there. She gives a look.
Tiffany gets hit with the black beam of
She
Leviathan.
knows what's happening.
Yeah.
So she does. She gets hit with the black beam of light, and we get this big flash of, like, what has happened to her. So she was this kid that was like, she was really into puzzles, and it was starting to
these puzzles are consuming her life.
It's consuming her life. So the mum has taken her to Dr. Chenard to help her, and he's basically seen her as an opportunity to get into these puzzle boxes that he's clearly like, I don't understand why he couldn't get into them himself. Like, if he wanted it bad enough, he could have figured it out. But anyway, he uses this little girl, and, you know, you get that shot of her and she's being operated on. He's, like, drilling into her head, which is obviously making her, like, compliant to whatever he wants. You know.
Yeah, so we get that.
Yep.
Then, like, we cuts back to, like, Tiffany fucking shrugs that off and she starts solving the puzzle
Yeah.
box. We get like a half solved shot.
Mm-hmm.
Then from out of nowhere, the doctor floats up, with his big worm head, and he just Kirsty goes no.
Yeah,
and
he goes to like really whack at
instead of
Tiffany
like killing Kirsty, he just hits her away.
Yeah, she takes the blow. She's like rolled off. And he once again.
Well, she rolls off, gets up, and goes fuck this shit, and she just bails. She runs down a corridor, and we don't see Kirsty again. Now we're left. It's just like Tiffany and the doctor at this point.
Yeah.
The doctor comes up to Tiffany. She starts to oh fuck, you're gross. She starts backing back, obviously, because she's like, oh yeah, and we see and then we see from behind Tiffany up comes a creation chamber. So this whole time, the doctor's like wanting to create her into his next Cenobite part.
Yeah.
So he's trying to create his gash now. So we see the what is it called? The creation chamber right between Tiffany, and just before Tiffany steps into the creation chamber, out of nowhere, rock the fuck's back, Julia. Mm-hmm. She comes up, she grabs
Dr. Cenobite.
She grabs Tiffany and pushes her out of the way and looks at him, and the Cenobite's like, because no one can resist Julia's charms.
Yeah. Well,
she's kind of bloody and all fucked up and shit.
She's a sexy lady. They make out, because of course they do.
Yeah, like, she rocks out. They start
so she's
kissing.
basically like making out with him while Tiffany's there going, well,
He's
I'm
making
just
out
gonna...
while he's floating. He has to kind of like duck down.
Yeah.
Fucking real tall person making out with a real short person. The snakes kind of go back in, he goes into like non-defense mode. He's not in defense mode. The snakes goes stop motion animation back into his hands, into the wounds in his hands, which is very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's really good.
And this gives Tiffany time. She fucking just gets straight back on her. This gives her time to solve the Leviathan puzzle.
Yeah.
And she's tinkering away, and we see she's done it.
Yep.
She has turned the Leviathan puzzle back into the original puzzle box. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I had to look this up, and apparently, that if you solve that box in hell, that's what she had to do. Like, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
Sure. Okay.
The doctor's suddenly over,
He kind of knows. He's stopped making out with the...
Yeah,
he knows what's up.
His boner goes down.
He goes for Tiffany again, and he's at this point he's like his snakes, so he's like whoosh, whoosh, web slinging snakes at her, and they get like stuck in the ground at her feet, and he cannot.
They're like stuck into the concrete, and he can't get them out, and they're still in him.
Yeah.
So clearly he has to choose between either a firing out snake or a whip snake before, because otherwise I'm like, why didn't you just let him go? But he can't. He's like stuck in the ground, and he's stuck with his, he's like, the pressure's building up or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah, and anyhow, the pressure builds up so hard that the dick worm on his head,
and it does. It looks like a fucking penis. It really does. Big old pain.
It's got veins that's slightly translucent. You can see a little bit inside of it.
It's a little bit throbby.
It's pulsating.
It's not great.
It's a good night in. That just decides, like, you know what? You're stuck. I'm going to fuck off now.
So it's like trying to pull him out of where he is stuck, but it's like pulling him up, but he's not coming with it.
And it rips the top of his head off.
So good. It just rips him from the top of his jaw up, leaving the rest of his body there.
And his body just falls down into the abyss.
Yep. Hits the abyss. It's fantastic.
And this, like, scares... And then we see a shot of, like, the floating half face. And this startles Tiffany, and she falls backwards off the edge of the labyrinth, which is like an endless hole.
Yeah.
But she holds onto the edge kind of thing. She's holding on. And then Julia comes up and goes, like... Well, trust me.
Yeah.
Not in Julia's voice. And so Julia, goes to pull her up, and then Julia's, skin starts...
the skin starts ripping, and you're like, oh, what the fuck? And then...
Well, no, that makes sense. Like, she's back in her skin.
What's a skin hole? Your skin's a little bit loose.
And
it's going to rip.
So her skin her arm skin rips off, revealing there's more skin underneath.
Oh.
And it reveals... Julia pulls up Kurt... how many names in this? Tiffany.
Yep.
And she's all like that, and we get a shot. It's really cool, like a shot of like Julia pulling off her face skin to reveal it was Kirsty wearing her skin.
Ah, Kirsty,
gonna need some therapy after that, Kirsty.
Right?
Wearing someone else's skin.
Oh, she loves it.
So
she saved the day.
So she made out with that Cenobite.
Yep.
I feel like a Cenobite would be like foul, rotting, because they're like,
yeah,
all their blood's taken out of them and replaced with blue blood. That'd be cold.
Nah, I'm good.
Anyhow, now that that's solved,
yeah. So the puzzle's solved. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Leviathan starts to crumble and shake, and he starts to turn himself, like the giant monolith version of him. He starts to transform in the same way the little version of him. He starts transforming back into the puzzle box. And then, like, all these souls, like, as this is happening, apparently this is the only time he's vulnerable.
Yep.
The souls that he has collected through the years start coming out of him as blue blobs. They're flying out. Hell is shaking. And then, like, Kirsty and Tiffany are like, oh, fuck, we got to get out of here. We have to get out. So they start running out of hell. You know, the souls are flying past them. It's a very exciting moment.
It is.
It's exciting.
It is.
The souls are hitting
Lots
into the screen sometimes where you see a quick flash of a skull. I thought it was kind of cool.
It's cool.
I don't know where these souls go.
Well, they're just smashing into things and
we see them
blow
running
things up, and that's it.
We see them running down the hall. We can see the hell door very slowly closing. Even though the hell door at any other time can just disappear.
It's just up. No, run faster. Get out of there.
Slowly Indiana Jonesly, like, you know, slowly closing. They're running. The souls are. They jump out of it, back into the room, just in time. The hell door closes.
Good for them. They fucking made it.
The end.
The end.
No, there's more.
Yeah.
They're on the ground. They're like, fuck. Whew. Should run more often.
Yeah.
I'm really tired.
So you want to go get a beer?
Yeah. And then we get a shot to show that now Leviathan has completely turned into the puzzle box. Mm-hmm. And I love this scene how it just goes like completely silent. It's all changing. There's all this yelling and screaming, and then it turns into the puzzle box. It's like poof, just back to slowly floating around, like levitating in hell.
Yeah.
This giant planet-sized puzzle box. I love it. Doesn't make any sense. Does that mean Leviathan now is that?
I would say so.
Does that mean like now Pinhead is in charge? No, because he's dead.
No, he's dead.
So this means everything's fucked up.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yep.
He's gone. It no longer happens now. This is the end. This is theoretically the end. And every movie that comes after this doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Unless.
Oh.
Anyhow.
Anyway.
They make it out just in time.
They do. And we cut to, I'm guessing, the next day.
Yeah. Cuts to the next day. There's a whole bunch of like flowers of where all the people were dead. No one's questioning what's happening.
There are no police. There is nothing. It's just Kirsty and Tiffany out the front of the hospital. They're kind of like eye fucking each other as well. They've got this look about them that they're kind of, you know.
They're going to les on.
I get that.
Well, they're the only one that have shared experience.
Mm-hmm.
The only one who knows that hell does exist. They've been to hell together. They got out. Why not?
Yeah.
She hasn't had very good, she hasn't had a very good go with men.
No,
up until that
clearly
point.
not.
They keep dying on her.
And they basically just, take one last look at the grounds and they turn and walk off. So
they walk off into the distance, away from the Institute. Happy ending.
Yes.
Happy ending. No one would get over that. I'd prefer to die. Anyway, it's not the end, is it?
It is not. Just when you think it is, it's not.
Just when you think you can go home, more shit comes up. What is this, a Marvel movie?
It is a Marvel movie.
So now we cut to the removalist, moving old Dr. Shenard's shit out of his industrial brutalist house.
Yes. Again, no police, no investigations, no nothing. I would have thought that most of it would be being taken in for evidence.
Bagged and tagged.
But nope. One of them goes upstairs. He goes into the little oddities room and he finds the mattress.
That fucking mattress.
Of course, I'm in a strange house that I don't know and I find a bloodied mattress on the floor. My first instinct is to also go over and start touching the blood.
No doubt. Get on all hands and knees and have a good close look.
Get in close. Can you smell the blood?
And then out of nowhere out of the mattress comes a hand that grabs him, and I don't even understand why. And then that's a hard cut. And then we see another guy come into the room and he sees his mate.
Like half in. Like his legs are out.
He's half in the mattress, and out of the mattress slowly rises a spinning hell pillar, and with a whole bunch of crap all over it.
Yeah, so there's like Pinhead's faces on there. There's like
skeletons, fucking. There is a severed wang.
Of course there is.
Did you see it?
I did not.
There is just a nailed on severed wang. So Wang Watch done.
Wang Watch 2021.
There's faces all over it. There's like, yelling and screaming sounds. It's weird. There's chains. There's biomechanical devices like going on. It's just a gross thing.
Yeah.
And then the pillar stops and there's a face there of like the grasshopper man who was from the first film, which is not mentioned in the film. Basically, in the very, very first film, the first person who gets the puzzle box is given to him by this guy who's eating grasshoppers, and he's like a homeless man. This is a homeless man. He says the same line that he says at the start of the first film is, "What's your pleasure, sir?" Mm-hmm. Hard cut. End.
Done.
The only thing I can work out, that must have been put on by the executive dudes that want to continue it, because but the thing is, Pinhead died. If Pinhead hadn't died, it would have made sense.
But if you notice, Pinhead's face was still on the pillar, and it was kind of like alive. So it wasn't just a face pinned to the pillar.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, nah.
And then later in Hellraiser 3, they obviously use this pillar to bring Pinhead back to life without the constraints of Leviathan. But I feel they killed him, hey? Like, they took out all the other Cenobites don't come back.
No.
So I'm that's a bit of a plot hole in my book. I think this is like, this is like a round table executive decision to be able to do more films.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, there were so many rewrites because I think the film was meant to rely a little bit more heavily on Frank. And the original actor was just like, nah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
So they had to do a bunch of rewrites. So, yeah, like I think many things got changed.
What are your final thoughts?
I fucking loved it. I do kind of wish I watched the first one before I'd watched this, just for a little bit of context. But I'm also.
So did you watch it in the you couldn't remember hardly any of it? How had you not seen it?
I don't think I've seen this film.
So you loved it, and you're watching it now. That's great.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me just be like, I want to watch the third one now.
The third one.
I just want to go straight into the next one.
Did we watch the third one?
No, you watched the third one.
Okay, yeah, it's not very good, eh? What we want to do now is you just want to read the comics and then get ready for the new movie and TV show and shit that's done by Barker.
Pretty much. Well, there's.
Can you imagine how good they could make it?
Apparently, the comic series that ran from I think 1988 to 94 is meant to be really good as well.
It's really hard to get all that stuff at the moment because it was under a different publisher now who owns the rights.
Yeah, it was like Boom Studios or something.
Yeah, I think Boom's got it now. It might have been Dark. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
There was a very, very short run of the Hellraiser Omnibus that came out recently, which I got in for our shop, and it was the best. And then they just went out of print, and it just never.
Yeah,
it was so good. So you loved it?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was insanely well done. Like, obviously, the script, and there was some plot holes and a lot of issues there, but the effects and the feeling that I had while watching it was like really cool.
Yeah, I thought, like, although it deviated from Barker's lore, I thought the way they did it, the ambiguity of some scenes that didn't make sense, gave you that extra layer to go research it.
Yeah.
And that actually opened up more things, and you're like, oh, cool.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is the kind of movie that, like, unlike, your other sort of franchise films, this is something that you'd watch and be like, I think there's a little bit more information, and you can go down that rabbit hole. The
Hellraiser wiki is excellent as well. It's very well planned out and stuff like that. The gore in this film is great. The practical effects are off tap. They know that shiny stuff looks gross. They know that wet shit looks gross. There was never any point in this film where I went, that's kind of rubbery and dry. No,
I mean, obviously, if you want to start nitpicking, like the skin... the close-up of the skin, you can 100%, you're like, that's not real skin. It looks like they've just painted...
Or latex.
Yeah, but that's just being picky. I'm not going to be picky because I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, and it has a real unique horror tone to it. It's nothing is like it. It really got that feeling to me as a kid, I would imagine a horror film to be like.
Yeah.
So many horrific scenes, and not just mincing dudes in costumes, not just like gore. It's purely like the idea of the gore and the desires of the gore, and just the ability of humans to create such horrific things and stuff. It's just a really. It feels weird. It feels like a taboo to watch it, and which is very. You can see why it got banned.
Yeah,
like the idea of it is too much for a lot of people.
I think as well, like if you can imagine how a sequel would have been set up. This is not what you would imagine it. Like, you know, clearly you've come off the first film. Everyone's, like, obsessed with Pinhead. They could have just turned him into, like, oh, it's Pinhead going around a hospital, picking off people one by one.
He was hardly in it.
No, but this instead, they chose to go through and, you know, go down the path of, well, this is the mythos. This is the lore. This is all of this information about this film, which... For most people sitting there watching it, they're like, why am I watching a film where they're standing in a maze with a fucking, you know, ass-to-ass thing there, like, floating? Like,
I
what
believe
is
his name's Leviathan, and he is an unholy cosmic entity monolith.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is.
Which I've written down here.
But how many people would think that that's something that they're going to watch and enjoy?
I don't know.
Like I thought it was great. Anyone else would be like, oh, I just wanted to watch the guy with the pins in his head fucking kill people.
Which is Hellraiser 3.
Which is, okay. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, it had a very Nightmare on Elm Street 3 vibe as well. The relationship between Tiffany and Kirsty, very much the same as Nancy and Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, she did look pretty Nancy, didn't she?
She did. And it kind of left me thinking, like, man, why do sequels always have to take place in a hospital?
It's good.
I mean, I'm not... against it.
A mental asylum is always the best place. Best, you know, American Horror Story was the mental asylum one.
That was pretty good.
Anyway,
that was stressful.
What did you give it?
So I definitely gave this a D. It is definitely a Dan special.
I gave it a D.
Yeah. A big old D. It is also, I think it's a classic that's worth a watch.
Exactly what I gave. It's also kind of an awesome one. Like
this is the fan favorite apparently.
Yeah, which is weird because it's the most unbarkery one. Like, oh no, the unbarkery one is the rest.
It's like 4.
Like
in space.
There's Deader. There's the video game one where instead of the Hellbox, they bring out video games to be so more modern people. And it's like the worst game.
No.
And Lance Hendrickson is the star of that one.
Oh, good old Lance. Lance.
What's next week?
So I thought, because we are starting to do a little bit more of the mainstream big name ones, I figured we'd watch Friday the 13th.
Which one?
The OG.
The OG?
The OG. The 1980s version where the killer is the killer.
Yes.
At a camp.
All right, let's do it. Friday the 13th.
Old mate Bacon's in it.
Kevo?
Yeah.
As a child?
No, as like a teen.
Teen Bacon?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like prosciutto. Kevin Prosciutto.
Yep. Pretty much.
I like that you know the year without even like Friday the 13th, 1980. You just wrote it straight now.
I sometimes I know things, Dan. But anyway. You've been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We are available on all major podcasting streaming services, also on the YouTubes. But no matter where you choose to consume us, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment or a review, or both. And make sure you share with all your friends. We also have an Instagram at TerrorVisionPod, which will keep you up to date with upcoming episodes, trivia, and of course memes that are definitely 3 years old by now. We also have an email, terrorvisionpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you want us to watch, if you want us to discuss anything. Just, you know. And also, feel free to join us on Facebook. Our opening and closing music is Void Swell by Sister Wife.
And you can find me at Greenlight Comics at 18 Stevens Place in Adelaide. Come visit me there. And until next week, may all your dreams
be nightmares.